welcome to the afternoon session of Portland City Council. This is the March 6th, 2024 afternoon session of the Portland City Council. Rebecca, could you please call the roll?
Rubio.
Here.
Ryan.
Here.
Gonzalez.
Here.
Maps.
Here.
Wheeler.
For those of you watching at home, the mayor is unavailable to join us today, so I will be presiding officer. We actually have something of a packed agenda for this afternoon. I want to give folks a little bit of run of show. We're hearing 3 items today. The first is sponsored by Commissioner Rubio, which deals with leaf blowers. And then we have 2 items dealing with utility rates. Looking around the room, you can tell that we have quite a few people eager to talk about item 210, which deals with leaf blowers. Colleagues, we have, I believe, 30 people signed up to testify on that item. Because so many people are signed up, we're going to ask you to limit your testimony to 2 minutes. When you come up, the clock will start. And then after we hear a presentation and testimony on leaf blowers, we'll go to the utility rate hearing. Having laid that groundwork, why don't we dive into our work this afternoon? Let's start with item 210. Rebecca, could you read that one for us?
Commissioner
Add
Maps?
leaf
Yes, I'm sorry.
Are you hearing the echo?
I think it's
Is there an echo today?
there is, and there
You want it?
BTS is
Yeah,
working
there's
on it.
definitely an echo.
Okay, here we might.
Proceed.
What's the advice from technology services?
What's up?
It's diagnosing.
We're doing some adjustments.
I think it got worse there. Here, we can do a little bit of testing. There is still an echo.
This morning it was the laptops.
Let's go.
Yeah. Can everybody make sure their laptops are muted?
If you have a laptop, staff, if you have a laptop going. I don't know how these things adjust themselves.
We don't want
between
this
morning
during the
and afternoon.
testimony, so that's why we're clearing it up now.
There we go. Yeah, it's still there.
And yours is good. He checked yours.
Okay, we're all set.
All right, Commissioner Ryan, how does that sound to you?
Well, I hope everyone is noticing it's better.
Is it better? All right, great. Excellent. Sorry for the technical difficulty, folks. Why don't we proceed? Rebecca, could you read item 210?
Item 210, add leaf blowers code to phase out the use of gasoline leaf blowers to reduce public health impacts.
Great. Thank you very much, Commissioner Rubio. I'll turn the floor over to you.
Thank you. Colleagues, I'm pleased to bring forward this policy to begin phasing out gas-powered leaf blowers in our community today. This is the culmination of many years of hard work and advocacy to make Portland a healthier and cleaner place to live. I'm grateful for the leadership of Commissioner Nick Fish, who began this journey under his tenure, and I'm proud to carry the torch of this work forward that he led so passionately on. In 2022, Chair Vega Peterson and I co-convened a work group that explored the feasibility of eliminating gas leaf blowers citywide. I'm grateful for her partnership on this work, and this path forward is not possible without the collaboration between the city and the county. I've been engaged in this issue since I came into office, and this last fall we decided to move forward with this policy, and I've made sure to provide updates to all my colleagues and stakeholders on this work. Also, I'm sure you're all aware from the response from our community, this is a priority to many here in Portland. And as we worked through this process, my staff worked to keep our offices up to date and our bureaus engaged. We made sure to provide engagement help around incoming with communications from our constituents, and there was staff-to-staff engagement as well as bureau-to-bureau engagement as this policy came to life. With that said, I'm excited to present a proposal to eliminate the use of gas leaf blowers in our community in a way that supports workers and small businesses who might be impacted by the transition. Many of us are familiar with the drone of gas leaf blowers outside of our window. You may have been woken up early by the sound of a leaf blower, had a virtual meeting interrupted. Similarly, many people in our community have been on the other end of a gas leaf blower. Landscape contractors who use this equipment are used to coming home with the smell of gasoline on them, or their ears ringing from hours of extreme noise. And gas leaf blowers emit toxic pollutants, particulate matter, and noise that creates negative health impacts as well for these workers. This is an especially serious risk for the landscape workers who rely on this equipment. Moving away from gas leaf blowers is not just an environmental policy, it's an environmental justice policy. By centering the needs and experiences of people closest to the problem, we find solutions that benefit the entire community. This policy will improve physical and mental health for everyone in our city, whether they use gas leaf blowers for a living or simply experience them in their neighborhood. Over the last several months, staff from the Bureau of Planning and Sustainability and Multnomah County Office of Sustainability have worked together to develop a policy that gets us closer to our shared vision of a healthy, clean, and equitable Portland. I'm proud of this partnership between our two agencies, and we're thrilled to bring this forward today. I strongly believe this team has brought forward a strong policy that includes significant engagement from parties who represent many different perspectives around this issue. I'd also like to thank the PSEF team for proposing $1.6 million for the replacement of gas-powered leaf blowers fleet and also charging infrastructure with the Vibrant Communities service area. Commissioner Ryan and Parks have included this as a budget option package, and I fully support this package. Next, you'll be hearing from BPS and Multnomah County staff about the work they've done to craft a proposal that benefits public health and our environment, while also being mindful of the specific challenges this may pose for people who rely on this equipment. Finally, I want to thank the advocates, all the advocates, starting with Clean and Quiet PDX and others for their multi-year advocacy, and also thank our county partners, and also appreciate the exceptional leadership and work of my staff, Megan Beyer, and BPS's Sundrisa Cooper and Vivian Satterfield. And of course, our partner at the county, John W. as well. This was really thorough policy work with multiple stakeholders, so thank you, team. Now I'll turn it over to the Chief Sustainability Officer, Vivian Satterfield, to introduce the team and their important work.
Great, thank you, Commissioner. Good afternoon, everybody. I am Vivian Satterfield, use she, her pronouns or my name, and I am your Chief Sustainability Officer at the Bureau of Planning and Sustainability. First, I want to thank Commissioner Rubio, of course, but also all of our elected leadership on this, both present and past, especially Multnomah County Chair Jessica Vega-Peterson, also leadership of Commissioner Carmen Rubio, and the late Commissioner Nate Fish for his leadership, and also the sitting council commissioners from 2019 who all expressed an interest in one day working beyond their resolution towards a more all-encompassing phase-out of all gas-powered leaf blowers, which we are presenting to this council here now today. I want to again appreciate the project team at the Bureau of Planning and Sustainability. These are the incredible folks I get to work with all day long. They're awesome, like Sundrisa Cooper, the Sustainable Economy and Just Transition Analyst, and my colleague Vin Mason, who's a Senior Policy Advisor. And of course, our partner John Washetinsky, who's the Director of the Office of Planning of Sustainability. I'm sorry, just Sustainability. We take care of the planning part at Multnomah County. I'm proud of the dedication that they've all brought to a good process and to have clarity in the outcomes, really exemplifying some core city values of equity, transparency, collaboration, and communication. So we're very proud to be in front of you today. I'll also speak to, again, the integrity in our process. And we did this through really regular engagement with key stakeholders in all aspects of the policy, whether we agreed on the eventual outcome and vision of this proposal or not. But you'll hear about it in our presentation, what our engagement was like. And also understanding and I hope you'll pardon the pun, the sort of landscape available technology that we have for gas-powered leaf blowers and electric leaf blowers here. And we also look to other communities to understand their approach and what their experiences are like across, all types of different environments, including similar environments as our climate here in the Pacific Northwest, such as Lake Oswego, to really inform our policy parameters for this equitable community-wide phase-out strategy for gas-powered leaf blowers. There's one note that I want to make, that the work group did make recommendations around both the use and sale of gas-powered leaf blowers. And so we've chosen to focus on the use only here with our policy. A ban on the sale, we believe, would be very costly, difficult to implement, and wouldn't stop people from purchasing this equipment from outside of the city of Portland boundaries. So banning the use ensures that Portland residents and workers will be protected from the noise and pollution. And we look forward to further progress on this issue as it continues to gain more momentum. From here, I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to my colleague, Sunrisa, to work through the presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Vivian. Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Sunrisa Cooper. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the Sustainable Economy and Just Transition Analyst at the Bureau of Planning and Sustainability. As Commissioner Rubio and Vivian said, I'm here to present on the equitable gas leaf blower phase out today. And we've been working hard on this with our partners at Multnomah County and with stakeholders from community and industry. And we're very excited to be bringing this to Council today. Next slide, please. So I'll begin by going over some of the background of the ordinance, then I'll go over the key points of the policy, the role of the county, and discuss what we learned during the public comment period. I'll close out with some next steps and leave some time for questions and answers before we bring on our invited testimony. Next slide. So the overarching goal of this policy is to improve public health and quality of life in our community by eliminating the use of gas-powered leaf blowers within Portland. Gas leaf blowers are noisy and polluting, and they're associated with a long list of health risks, especially for people who operate this equipment for a living. This is meant to be an equitable, environmental justice-centered policy that minimizes impacts on landscape workers and small businesses in the landscaping industry. This policy has been in the works since 2018, when advocates began meeting with city and county elected officials. In 2019, Commissioner Fish directed all city bureaus to transition from gas to electric leaf blowers, and in 2021, Multnomah County did the same. In 2022, city and county staff teamed up to convene a work group to explore a citywide transition away from gas leaf blowers. That work group was made up of public sector staff, nonprofit organizations, and landscaping industry representatives. And as Vivian said, the work group recommended banning the use and sale of gas leaf blowers within the city limits. So the policy that we bring to you today is the culmination of many years of hard work, in which we're recommending a phase out on the use of gas leaf blowers that eases the transition for small businesses and reduces the harmful noise and pollution that workers and neighbors are exposed to on a daily basis. Next slide, please. So all of the key pieces of the policy that I'm about to share are based on input that we heard from stakeholders. And we've done our best to strike a balance between all of our stakeholder perspectives that achieves the overarching goal of this policy, which is to eliminate gas leaf blowers, while also being practically feasible for businesses and organizations that rely on this equipment. So we met with stakeholders from the nonprofit and environmental justice space, including Quiet Clean PDX, which has been a champion of this policy since the very beginning. And they and other organizations shared with us the importance of phasing out gas leaf blowers rapidly to reduce health risks from exhaust emissions and noise. When we met with representatives from the landscaping industry, the main takeaway that we came away with was that electric leaf blowers are not ready to replace gas leaf blowers yet, especially at the commercial scale during the wet leaf season in the fall. A seasonal carve-out is necessary to handle the heavy leaf drop that we get here in the Pacific Northwest. However, we are optimistic that electric leaf blowers will improve in the next few years due to increased consumer demand and a recent law passed in California that bans the sale of gas-powered lawn equipment statewide. We also met with a number of large property owners from both the public and private sector. These included campus institutions like hospitals and universities, Portland Parks and Recreation, Portland Public Schools, and a Metro-owned golf course. For these large property owners, safety is their top priority, and they reiterated that allowing gas leaf blowers during the wet leaf season is critical to avoid slip and fall accidents. Some of these large property owners are also on 2-year budget cycles, which would impact the timing of the transition. And finally, we met with other public sector organizations to learn more about potential obstacles that might come up as this policy rolls out. This included the Lake Oswego Parks Department, which enacted its own ban in city operations in 2021, and the BDS Noise Control Office, which currently handles leaf blower noise complaints. Next slide, please. So this policy is not an outright ban on gas leaf blowers right off the bat. It's a phase out that will take place over a 2-year period, which gives people time to replace gas equipment, and it also gives electric leaf blower technology time to improve. And this policy only applies to backpack and handheld leaf blowers. The phase out will begin in 2026, when gas leaf blowers will be prohibited for 9 months out of the year. In 2026 and 2027, gas leaf blowers will be permitted from October through December. And those seasonal carve-out dates are based on input that we received from large landowners in the public and private sectors. In 2028, gas leaf blowers will be prohibited year-round. The ordinance includes exceptions for inclement weather events that can be determined citywide by the BPS director, for parks facilities by the parks director, and at individual properties by the code enforcement officer. Next slide, please. Violations under the ordinance will apply only to property owners using gas leaf blowers themselves or hiring people to use gas leaf blowers, and it will not apply to contractors or property managers. The reason for this is to ensure that small businesses and landscape workers, especially those from marginalized communities, don't bear the brunt of enforcement. The onus is on the property owner to ensure that gas leaf blowers aren't used on their property. Administratively, it's also easier to track down and notify a property owner of a violation than it is a hired contractor or property manager. We recognize that some owners, especially those with very large facilities and maintenance shops, might need to upgrade their electrical infrastructure as part of the transition. So those owners may apply for an extension if they need additional time to comply. As I mentioned earlier, we expect that electric leaf blower technology will improve over the next several years due to market signals. However, if it doesn't improve, BPS staff have the option to recommend any code amendments before the wet leaf season begins in October 2028. And finally, implementation of this policy will be managed by Multnomah County, acting as the city's health officer. Next slide, please. We've worked closely with staff from Multnomah County Office of Sustainability and the Health Department to ensure that we're aligned in our vision of an equitable gas leaf blower phase out. We've approached policy development and stakeholder engagement as a team, and we've already initiated the discussion of an intergovernmental agreement between our agencies. The county will take the lead on all aspects of implementation, specifically enforcement, incentives, and outreach and education. Enforcement will be handled through a complaint-based system that begins with a warning and education, followed up by civil penalties. Incentives will take the form of post-sale rebates. Eligible businesses will be able to submit a receipt and receive a rebate for electric backpack and handheld leaf blowers. And outreach and education will begin this year. The county has experience conducting multilingual public health campaigns, and they'll also partner with nonprofit organizations and the landscaping industry to reach people. You may have seen billboards and bus ads in the past talk about the health risks of wood smoke. This will look similar to that campaign. Next slide, please. We held a public comment period in January and received lots of written testimony on the gas leaf blower phase out. During that time, we received nearly 800 comments, with 86% in support of this, 11% opposed, and 3% that were unclear. Next slide. Many of the supportive comments focused on 4 specific points. Move up the start date from 2026 to 2025. Move up the full phase out from 2028 to 2026. Shorten the wet leaf season to 2 months or eliminate it entirely, and include contractors and property managers in enforcement. As a response to this, we didn't change the dates, but we did opt to remove 1-year grace periods on enforcement that had been proposed in 2026 and 2028. And we also increased the fee schedule to have higher penalties. Next slide, please. Many of the opposing comments came from landscaping companies and property owners with high landscaping needs, such as private golf courses. Of the comments that were opposed to the phase-out, the added cost of new equipment, especially the batteries, was the most frequent point that was mentioned. This was followed by the need for a longer timeline to make the transition and comments about environmental hazards related to batteries and putting strain on the electrical grid. We also received a small number of one-off comments that mentioned safety issues due to the added weight of the batteries and concerns that this could disproportionately harm small Latinx-owned contracting businesses. In response to this feedback, we added the clause that BPS would reevaluate the technology and recommend any code changes by 2028, or sorry, by October 2028, I should say. We also added the commitment to begin outreach and education by July 2024, which is a year and a half earlier than the policy's effective date. Next slide, please. So if this policy passes, we'll kick off implementation by the beginning of the fiscal year, starting with a proactive outreach campaign. And we've already begun speaking with partners who can assist with this. Our aim is to reach businesses, landowners, and residents well in advance of the effective dates. We want to make this an equitable and easy transition for everyone, especially those who may experience a hardship switching to electric leaf blowers. As a recap of what comes after that, the first phase will go into effect in 2026, prohibiting gas leaf blowers from January through September. Beginning January 2028, gas leaf blowers will be prohibited year-round, and then we have until September 30th of that year to recommend any code amendments if electric leaf blower technology has not improved sufficiently by then. Next slide. So thanks for your time. We really do believe that this will have a positive benefit across our entire community when it comes to public health and quality of life. Now I'll turn it back over to Vivian.
Yeah, that actually. Thank you, Sunrisa. That concludes our presentation. But before we go to addressing any questions that you all may have, I want to give an opportunity for John Washetinsky to share his perspective from the county.
Great, thank you. Good afternoon. My name is John Washetinsky. I'm the Director of Sustainability for Multnomah County. I'm here today on behalf of Multnomah County Chair Jessica Vega-Peterson, and the following are comments that I will deliver on her behalf. Commissioners, I would like to express my strong support for the measure before you. As you have heard, the two-stroke gas-powered leaf blower creates harmful noise and air emissions that most directly affect the operators of the equipment. But the impacts are more widespread, affecting neighbors, deterring ambient air quality, and contributing to greenhouse gas emissions. The all-electric lawn care equipment revolution is upon us, and the actions taken by Council today ensure a speedy transition while taking into consideration the needs of businesses, operators, and the community. When Commissioner Nick Fish and I launched this effort, we knew that the community would back us. What we did not know at the time was that Nick would pass so soon, or that we would be hit with a global pandemic. But I know Nick is smiling on us today. Commissioner Rubio took up the cause for the city of Portland, and together we launched a 2-year community stakeholder process that culminated in a final report in 2022. When I became chair, Commissioner Rubio and I continued to work together. We committed to lean on each other's organization's strengths as we sought to convert community enthusiasm and stakeholder engagement into meaningful action. Today, with the adoption of this ordinance, we will mark an important milestone in the quest for a more sustainable community. The truth is that the technology for an all-electric decarbonized future already exists. But it will take public policy and partnership like this one to accelerate the transition and ensure we hit the climate targets we have in time to avoid the worst impacts of climate change. The good news is that reaching our climate goals will also mean cleaner air and healthier communities. The phase-out of gas-powered leaf blowers will hopefully mark the beginning of a new chapter in our work on climate. I also wanted to note how I expect the partnership between the county and the city will play out. The county will be in charge of 3 important components for this policy implementation: education, incentives, and enforcement. Education and outreach will be one of the most important components and will be the first to start. Over the coming months, the county will develop outreach and education materials and a social marketing campaign to alert contractors and the general public about these new rules. Most importantly, we will ensure this is a multilingual campaign, since we know many people in the immigrant and refugee communities work in the landscaping industry. The county will also work to appropriate a budget to launch an incentive program. New battery electric blowers suitable for the landscape industry are not cheap. Although operators can save money over time since there's no fuel and less maintenance expense, the upfront cost can be daunting. The incentive program will target small businesses in the lawn care industry. Finally, as the city finalizes rules, the county will enter into an agreement with the city to enforce the policy as needed. I want to emphasize the degree of collaboration between the city and the county and the community on this issue. Commissioner Fish knew that the way to get things done in this town was to work together. That's what we have been doing, working together. And keeping his legacy in mind, that is what we'll keep doing to ensure this policy is implemented successfully and that we continue on the path to a fully decarbonized future. So this ends my comments, and I'm happy to answer questions with the rest of the team.
Yeah, thank you so much, John. Really want to appreciate your partnership. You've been with us every step of the way in every single meeting, so thank you so much. So this is an opportunity, commissioners, for you to address any questions that you may have.
Colleagues?
I think we take testimony. Don't
Sure, I see some Commissioner Rubio, any feedback? Gonzalez?
we? All good.
I do have a couple of questions, but frankly, there's so many folks in the audience. Why don't we get to public testimony, and if there's anything unasked at the end of the day, I may weigh in.
Yeah, and we'll still be here for that. We do have 3 invited testimony
sure.
members that we'd like to invite. So at this time, I'd like to invite Michael Hall, Mauricio Flores, and Michael Harrison. Thank you.
Any order, I guess?
I'll let you two sort it out.
Okay. So Mauricio Flores with the Oregon Landscape Contractors Association, otherwise known as OLCA.
Okay.
So that's who I'm here to represent today and talk. So first of all, I do want to show appreciation for Commissioner Rubio's team, Vivian, Sonrisa, and John, for engaging in conversation with us and collaborating and giving us an opportunity to voice our opinion. I think, there's more of a personal perspective, but, there's been some doubts on, politics and how it all works. But it was encouraging to see and be part and have a seat at the table to see how it's put together. And I know that I trust that they took multiple opinions and perspectives to move forward a policy that could be effective. So I do want to show appreciation there. I think it's great. From the landscaping perspective, it's mentioned in the presentation. Our concerns have been infrastructure, technology, capabilities. So it was very important for us to consider a phased plan to get there. We even prior to this, I think the industry has seen this as part of the future. So we've made attempts to adapt and have used in trials of blowers and other equipment. So I think that the industry has intentions to move in that direction. But because of that experience, we know that there's some limitations still, and that comes from experience. So there's that aspect. The other thing that I think I want to make sure to point out without getting too controversial, not really controversial, but it's no secret that this industry is dominated by the Latinx community. And so, I think that's something that really needs to be considered for the small contractors and those in the industry as, if this moves forward, because as is too often the case, it's hard to connect with that community and engage and participation, and also just providing resources and education for that community to understand that how this is going to affect them. I as part of OLCA, that's one of my initiatives is to continue to engage and connect with that community and give an opportunity to be aware of things like this. So. I come with that background, and even in that case, it's hard. It's a challenge to rally and get together to be able to broadcast a message and get collaboration. So that I just hope that doesn't get overlooked as we move forward, because they being that it's on the property owner's responsibility, I think even then, there could be some uncomfortable moments there for these small contractors, and not understanding who is responsible or not, and also just the funding of it as well to invest in this type of equipment. I know that there's money set aside to support and provide some relief. But then even with that, there's limitations to how they can access that and if they're able to access that, without going into detail. But, that will also be a challenge. And then, so I also hope that that this is another opportunity to create exposure for them and continue to consider that the community with all ranges of policies and decision-making. So I hope that all that were involved in this matter continue to advocate as well, and not move on from this topic, but, just keep it in mind as we move forward.
Great.
I'd say.
Thank you very much. Hello.
Hello? Am I on?
I believe you are. You sound loud and clear.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay,
sound
great. Thank you. My name is Michael Hall, and I am co-chair of Quiet Clean PDX. And we've been working for 7 years now to try to get a policy with the city that it takes care of a wicked problem that we've been dealing with for a long time now. So the introduction of a proposed alliance ordinance today is a very special moment for us. And forgive me if I reiterate some of the things that have already been expressed by BPS in my comments, BPS and the county. We're deeply grateful for both Commissioner Rubio and for County Chair Vega Peterson for their perseverance in this public health and environmental problem. We can all agree that gas leak blowers are harmful to public health and to the environment. At risk are workers, neighborhoods, and our very climate. Public comments on the draft ordinance, as you saw earlier, showed that eliminating gas leak blowers from Portland has overwhelming popular support. Of the nearly 800 comments, 86% favor this goal, and the sooner the better. Getting rid of gas leak blowers is clearly the will of the people. To the lawn care professionals in the audience, we look forward to continually working with you and the Oregon Landscape Contractors Association in educating others about the importance of protecting worker health, neighborhood peace and quiet, and a cleaner atmosphere to help fight climate change. And speaking of climate change, this proposed ordinance will help achieve Portland's goal of slashing our planet-warming carbon emissions 50% compared to 1990 levels by 2030 and achieving net zero by 2050. Transitioning to electric blowers makes good business sense too. Operations and maintenance costs of electric blowers are about 1/10 that of gas blowers. So lower overhead and higher profits are among the benefits of transitioning from gas to electric. Quiet Clean PDX has been in conversation with OLCA since 2018, and we've often found common ground in achieving our mutual goals. We look forward to continued collaboration around implementing this ordinance that we hope you will pass. We truly appreciate the hard work of city and county staff in getting us to this point. A special shout out to BPS staff members Vivian Satterfield, Sonrisa Cooper, and Vin Mason for developing the details of the draft ordinance. They've been proactive and responsive to our group and thorough in their stakeholder outreach to landscapers and large property owners. Our discussions have been mutually respectful and consistently productive, even when we were not in full agreement on all aspects of the draft ordinance. And we want to thank County Sustainability Director John Wasyutinsky for working on the county's end of this historic intergovernmental agreement. The partnership of city and county in this joint action has been impressive. The county will take charge of 3 critical pieces, as you have heard. 1, enforcement of the ordinance, since it falls under health and sanitation. 2, an extensive public education effort well into 2028. And 3, an incentive program to help yard care businesses transition in an equitable manner. And there's one more important person to recognize who's already been recognized today, but we can't say enough about it. The late Commissioner Nick Fish, our original champion. He helped us achieve a passage, unanimous passage of a 2019 city resolution to begin transitioning city bureaus from gas to electric. The passage of this ordinance will be a wonderful tribute to Nick. We hope for City Council support for a quieter, cleaner, and healthier Portland. We've been told that this issue is a little thing, that there are more important matters for policymakers to address. But this ordinance recognizes that sometimes the little things that affect us all can make a big difference. I'd like to give a shout out to the many blue-themed supporters, a room full that you see here, of the Quiet Clean PDX goal of eliminating gas leak blowers in Portland. I and other members of Quiet Clean PDX team are here today and would be glad to answer any questions you may have. I thank you for the privilege of your time. Si se puede.
Thank you so much. I think, is Michael Harrison invited testimony too?
Yes. He's online.
Yep.
Can you
Michael,
hear
do
me?
you want to go? Or Commissioner
can you hear me?
Gonzalez?
Just had a couple of questions for Mr. Flores. Could you speak to the difference in weight between gas and electric or battery-powered leaf blowers?
Yeah, it really depends on the brand. There's different versions of the technology and ways to use it. I'm not going to say it's a drastic difference, but they can be a little weightier, a little heavier. But there really is a fluctuation because there's so many companies working through this technology that it's hard to really define. If there's consistency there. With the gas powered, there is dominating, suppliers that are pretty standard across, the industry. So there's consistency there. But with the electrical stuff, there's, it can vary a little bit, and there's not one product there that we can really lean on right now or say that, really critique.
And so that's helpful. With gas-powered, as the tank goes down, then obviously the weight goes down as well. And I'm just trying to project, because I think one of the questions is impact on workers' health, and at least asking the question of potentially carrying something heavier and what that does for workers' comp and other type of injuries. So it's mostly, I'm just curious your thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, there's, I can't speak to the precise, difference in the weight, but, it can fluctuate. I guess the other thing is consider, just the shuttling of batteries, rotating through them as because they don't last as long. That adds just more mobility and activity to using the equipment.
Yeah, and look, I use a battery-powered leaf blower in my home, and I'm used to it, but it's not my job, so it's not like I'm doing that for hours. So I just want to make sure I understand the impact.
Yeah, that's the key difference. Doing hours on end, especially in the leaf season, and very key piece of equipment. In a residential setting, I think that is a very useful tool. I think many of us have that type of equipment, and encourage that be the model. It does change a little bit in the commercial as you're doing that for hours on end throughout the day.
And just one last question on, there was testimony on profit margin and cost. I mean, as of today, though, contractors in this space are primarily choosing gas-powered, presumably because they deem that the most profitable to use, or just walk me through the current.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you compare the transition, it is a considerable investment, and then there's infrastructure factors there as well from a facility and operating and organization. But as of now, because it's newer technology, it is a pretty significant expense, especially for a larger contractor or small contractor. Really, the differences can be pretty significant.
So, last question here. So when I use at home, got my battery charger in my garage, right, and just change them out as you're using them. For a commercial use, or what do we envision that they'll have sort of, will be something in the truck that's essentially a charger? Or how would?
Yeah, I
or
mean,
what is
they do have power stations that they're developing as well to charge multiple packs at a time. But when you're talking commercial, we're talking hundreds of blowers, and that could that can draw a lot from from the infrastructure. And as far as in the field, yeah, they are outfitting those mobile charging stations to be able to get through days and be productive. But yeah, there's a lot of factors that have to be considered to implement it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Commissioner Ryan.
I just wanted to make sure I asked a question why they were here, but I could hear the last invited testimony if you want. I just wanted to make sure I asked a question.
Sure. Why don't we, Michael's been very patient, and we do have 3 members of, at least 3, is it just Commissioner Rubio? Is it just three invited and then 30 folks coming
I'll
in
do
from the
mine after
community?
Michael.
Yeah, so why don't we hear from you, Michael, and then we'll get to public testimony.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yeah, maybe we could turn you up in the room, though.
Okay, I'll also talk louder. I often
Perfect.
talk loud anyway. Let me know if I get quiet.
Yeah, you sound good.
Thank you. Thanks so much for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Michael Harrison. I'm the Director of Local Relations for OHSU. OHSU is committed to curtailing our climate emissions, specifically to reduce emissions by 50% by 2030 and reaching net zero by 2050. Even though our buildings are the biggest driver of our emissions, other things like leaf blowers are a part of that calculation as well. In fact, we already own some electric leaf blowers that we use in some instances, but they don't have the power to ensure public safety during the wet leaf season and after weather emergencies, for example, needing to quickly blow gravel off pathways, for example, after, say, an ice storm or a snow event. For us, leaf mess isn't about aesthetics. It's a safety issue for our patients, employees, and students walking and biking through our campus. While the equipment we need to comply with these new regulations doesn't exist yet, we do think this ordinance is an important signal to manufacturers that a market will exist when they can produce lighter weight, more powerful electric leaf blowers. So we do thank the city and the county for efforts to push the market to innovate, as well as for the phase-in period to help us get there. Hopefully manufacturers will respond quickly, as OHSU is eager to adopt these technologies as they come to market. Policy aside, I really wanted to thank city staff for their meetings and conversations that they had not only with OHSU, but collectively with other universities and health systems as well. We convened a large meeting so we could kind of learn from each other. During the discussions, I never doubted that Sunrisa and Vin cared about our education and healthcare missions, and that while they were seeking to curtail air and noise pollution from leaf blowers, they sought to do so in a manner in which we can continue to keep our campuses safe and accessible. So thank you again for the time today. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have, and I appreciate the work.
Great. And I see Commissioner Ryan has his hand
Yeah,
up.
sure. Hello, Mr. Flores. It's actually for you. And before I go on, I want to thank my staff and the people at Parks for working on this many, many hours, many, many meetings since it was handed over by the mayor in the beginning of 2023. Personally, I don't like using them, whether they're gas or electric. I find them to all be a little bit too loud, and I think they're rude because it just like takes whatever you have and blows it over to your neighbor. And they're also really terrible for plant life. So as a gardener my entire life, I don't like them for plant life. So I'm giving you a story about how does this get passed on to the consumer. When I have enough money to hire someone, I told them I don't want that. And my bill really went up much higher when it was told that I prefer rake on soil because it's so much better for plant life and for soil. And it was well over 100% increase in the monthly maintenance. And I realize I'm not talking about electric, but I think that I won't be the only person that would want that would rather have rakes and such. And so just want to hear from the industry when they've probably had stories like this as well. And do you see any of the costs then going out I'm fully in favor of this, but I just want to hear the real cost to both the people doing the contracting work and the consumers that hire them.
Yeah, I think one thing to realize when it comes to the landscape contracting work is we're not it's not a product, right? It's a service, and labor is what dominates,
Yeah.
a service industry. So that can get pretty expensive. So when you're adding more labor to a project or a site, that will then result in the difference in
So
pricing.
you get what you pay for. So when you cultivate the soil with actual
Yeah,
raking
and-
as opposed to the heat and all.
Yeah, I mean,
whatever
there's
is
other
electric
effects of,
work.
raking and more weed exposure, disturbing seed beds, et cetera. And when it comes to, sustainable practices, I don't think blowers are the only thing. There's a lot of other, methods to maintaining in a sustainable way, but it's most likely always going to result in more hands-on labor to practice sustainable methods for the most part, and that's why that does come down to the consumer in the end, the price. As a responsible business owner or manager.
And for those that still want the blowing, whether it's shifting to electric, will that also be passed on? Will that be an increase, or is it just?
Yeah, I mean, if you're analyzing your expenses and your cost of doing business, if there is, like there is now, significant capital expense, ultimately that's got to, in one way or another, be considered when it comes to a pricing structure and charging, whether it's a direct, hey, this is for gas powered, electrical powered blower fee. Not necessarily. I don't think that would be the responsible way to do it, but it's got to be considered.
And I really appreciate that Commissioner Rubio's office and BPS brought in people like you and your constituents. In addition to parks, that's the people on the ground that are actually going to be implementing this. So it's very important to have you at the table. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Rubio, is that the end of invited testimony? Okay, great. Why don't we go, thank you so much. We really appreciate you coming in today. Why don't we go to public testimony? Rebecca, could you maybe call up our first invited guest, who I recognize? Hey, Stan.
Hi, Commissioner.
Hi. Well, here we should let the clerk start us off in an official fashion.
First, we have Stanley Penkin, and he's online.
Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry I can't be there today, but nice to see you all. My name is Stan Penkin. I'm president of the Pearl District Neighborhood Association, co-chair of Home Share Oregon, founding director of the Northwest Community Conservancy, and former board member of the nonprofit Friendly Streets, where this all started some 7 years ago. Today, I'm testifying as a member of the Quiet Clean PDX team, but I think I speak for people all across our city who are subjected to the incessant noise and toxicity of gas leaf blowers and would like to see them just go away. Some 7 years ago, Michael Hall, as a fellow colleague on the nonprofit Friendly Streets, approached me with the question of what can we do to get rid of these monstrous machines? And I'll delete the expletives that I heard at the time. We created an action plan at the time and never dreamed it would be such a long journey to get to this momentous day, even after successful unanimous resolutions at City Council in 2019 and at the county in 2021. As you've already heard, and I think we all understand, gas leaf blowers are a danger to the environment and to the health and livability of all who live, work, and play in Portland, and especially to those who operate them. Although we would like to see a faster timeline, the ordinance before you today represents the work of so many over so many years and with input from a diverse group of stakeholders. With the passage of this ordinance, Portland will be making a bold statement about its commitment to sustainability and the environment for which it has always been recognized, and that it cares about the well-being of everyone across the city. Passage of this ordinance also represents how the city and county can work together on an important issue. In these challenging times, Portland needs wins, and this is a win we can be proud of. I want to thank my dear friend and colleague, Michael Hall, our visionary who started this, and to my devoted colleagues at Quiet Clean PDX. I also want to give big thanks to Commissioner Carmen Rubio and to Commissioner Dan Ryan for his work at Parks, County Chair Jessica Vega Peterson, and so many dedicated staff members whose names have already been mentioned. Lastly, I want to thank the late Nick Fish with a saddened heart, who was passionate about this issue and was an early champion for the cause. I urge you all to please vote yes on this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pinkin. Rebecca, our next, can you call up our next testifier?
Next, we have Brian Stewart.
Commissioners and staff, my name is Brian Stewart. I'm a member of Quiet Clean PDX. I'm also a resident of Portland. You've heard many excellent reasons to phase out gas leaf blowers. I wanted to focus my testimony on the powerful alternatives that are readily available today because I think there's a lot of misconceptions about those. But as we all know, electric battery-powered leaf blowers that are quieter and they produce no dangerous air pollution and no carbon pollution and no toxic solid waste. Like think about gas leaf blowers that produce this nonstop stream of gas filters, air filters, oil cans that go to our municipal waste facilities. None of that comes from electric blowers. And the other thing I wanted to talk about is the blowing power of these devices, because I think there's a lot of misconceptions about that. You hear this refrain typically that electric blowers aren't powerful enough to do the job. The data just doesn't support that. And part of the reason why there's that misunderstanding, I think, is because the Portland Noise Ordinance is very specific about the kinds of equipment that can be used, the gas power equipment. And so if you look at the equipment applies with the noise ordinance, electric blowers are available today are much more powerful than those devices. So anyone who's using a legal gas blower today in Portland, and that probably isn't everyone, but those people who are using illegal blowers would experience a power increase if they switch to electric. The other thing is about the economy of these devices. So all the major commercial landscape equipment suppliers now offer these commercial electric battery powered blowers. And I'd like to point out Steel, which is the market leader in gas powered equipment. Their website has a page which promotes electric, and I quote, "How your business can save by switching to battery power." And they have an online calculator where you put in how many hours you use, et cetera. Typical, that's about 4 hours per day. And if you're using your blower that much, you would save $160 per month in terms of fuel and maintenance, and you would recoup your investments costs in about 18 months. So I love this ordinance. I love all the work, and I would love to thank all the people involved, but you've heard those names already, and I'm out of time. But the time is right to do this, so thank you for bringing this ordinance before the council, and we urge you to pass it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Rebecca, can we call up the next three presenters? I think we'll start to call up people three at a time just to help with the flow.
Next, we have Wade Lang, Eric Bale, and Meredith Daglish.
Am I alone?
That's all right. Plow ahead.
Okay. We're on, right?
Yep, you're coming through loud and clear.
Okay. Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Wade Lang, and I'm here today representing the Building Owners and Managers Association of Oregon. We provided written testimony in January, and I just wanted to bring out a couple points that were brought up in that testimony that are still concerns of ours. Overall, BOMA is supportive of the phase-out. We like the thought of that. However, our members, and many of those members are landscape contractors, have voiced concerns over the lack of performance of the electric leaf blowers compared to the gas-powered ones. And we ask that when BPS does their evaluation of the technology, if they find that the technology is not up to the duration and power of the gas-powered, that maybe they prolong that phase-out period if that's what's found. There's a very real concern about property owners around the liability of sidewalks and the slip and falls. and to make sure that we can clear the leaves quickly and at a time when it's needed is critical to the management of these properties, the office properties. The other piece of it, we met with Multnomah County to find out more about the incentives that might be provided, and they didn't really articulate what that would be yet. And certainly our members are asking us what kind of incentives would they see? And for us to support this ordinance, we'd like to have an understanding of what those incentives might be, who's going to qualify for those incentives, and how would they apply for those incentives. So those are our points. Thank you very much for the time today, and we'll talk again later. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And Rebecca, could you remind us who's testifying next?
Next, we have Madeline Droz, Tamara Olcott, and Yuri Ramirez.
If your name was called, come on up. Name, no need to list your address, and if you can, try to keep your comments to 2 minutes. Thank you so much for being here, too.
Thank you for bringing this ordinance up for reading. I appreciate the opportunity to testify in favor of the passage. My name is Tamara Olcott. I live in Northeast Portland. I'm going to focus on the detrimental health effects, just to outline some of those associated with the use of gas leaf blowers, or GLBs for short. Numerous studies have shown that emissions and noise produced by GLBs can result in many adverse health effects. Emissions from GLBs include high levels of fine particulate matter. The adverse effects of fine particulate matter are well known and include heart disease, stroke, and respiratory disease. Just a quick aside, one thing I think we need to think about is that we have things like asbestos and lead paint, and when we made those changes, I'm sure the industry wasn't happy, but we did it for the health and safety of all of us. GLB emissions also contain harmful chemicals found in smog, which are known to cause dizziness, headaches, asthma attacks, heart and lung disease, and cancer. GLBs blast air at 140 to 270 miles per hour, creating clouds of dust and debris, which include pollens, mold, animal feces, fertilizers, pesticides, and more. Inhaling these substances can have serious health consequences. Operators of the equipment are most at risk, but the exhaust and dust are a danger to the general population, particularly children, the elderly, people with chronic asthma, and other cardiopulmonary conditions. Also, the noise. GLBs emit a particularly high decibel, low-frequency sound, which easily penetrates windows and walls. The level of repetitive, sustained, high decibel, low-frequency sound emitted from GLBs creates stress, increasing the likelihood of adverse health effects. It also makes it difficult to concentrate for people working from home or attending school remotely. And the extremely loud noise can cause permanent hearing damage. Some argue that banning GLBs will harm landscapers, but those that operate GLBs are at high risk of hearing and other health issues. Well over 100 cities have banned gas leaf blowers, including Lake Oswego. Thank you for adding Portland to this list of cities, for taking this important step to protect all of our health and well-being.
Thank you so much. Rebecca, could you call up the next 3 testifiers?
Next, we have Matt Villers online, and Ann Casper and Sandy Polishuk.
Hi, Matt, you're up.
Hi, my name is Matt Villers, and I want to first off take the time to thank you for considering this measure today. I, up until recently, lived in the Lloyd district in an apartment on top of a commercial building. And during that time, we had 4 different bordering properties, including the property that we were above, that would spend several hours a week leaf blowing. We're talking upwards of 8 hours a week, just constant blower noise. And in that context, again, I'm very thankful of the efforts that you're making to address this. But I do also want to raise a concern for kind of the burden on residents to kind of be the ones reporting this and to be the ones reporting it for individual property owners. We're talking about, in my case, 4 different properties that, I may have to talk about versus they all use the same contractor. So, I do want to maybe urge reconsidering the requirement of only enforcing with owners and not necessarily contractors. Also, I hope that we will do something to educate residents on, their options for reporting and what information is out there. Because for me, when I first looked into this, I found that it was very difficult. It was hours of research just to understand what are the regulations, who can I talk to, getting phone numbers for these out-of-state LLCs to try to talk to them about my concerns, right? It was very, very difficult. So that's something that I hope will be taken into consideration. I also want to express a concern around the carve out. I know that that's something we brought up was a safety concern. As Commissioner Ryan mentioned, there are alternatives that exist, right? And, it's not like necessarily we had this crazy epidemic of slips and falls and whatnot before the invention of gas leaf blowers. Golf courses and commercial properties still operated. So we are talking about here a difference of, a difference of convenience, a difference of cost. And that's not nothing, small businesses do matter, of course, but I think it's important to frame that as we think about what we're weighing here and what measures we're taking. So in summary, I'm very glad that we're acting on this, and I hope that we will see this pass today, but I hope that we'll also continue to take the issue seriously and make any necessary changes in the future. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Matt. Rebecca, next testifier.
I believe we have at the table.
Uh-huh.
Who do we have at the table?
Yeah. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to you today. My name is Sandy Polishuk. I live in Northeast Portland. I'm here in support of the resolution. I'm not going to bother talking about the health effects. You've heard plenty of that. But speaking as probably the oldest person testifying today, who grew up in an area that didn't have any blowers, I would like to say that many times I've seen blowers used when a simple rake or a broom would have done the job easily. I think of walking by these apartment buildings with open walkways where there's a few leaves and someone's blowing the whole thing just down below to the parking lot where they could just take a broom. So I hope that this, when the education, I know the county's going to be doing that, but I hope you will help urge them, and I know John's here, so he can also do that. But to include older, more economical strategies for dealing with leaves than when you publicize this all. Mainly, I would like to talk about the loud noises, as they're distracting and annoying, but for someone like myself and my people my age, when you have hearing loss, the noise is downright painful. While it may seem strange that losing your hearing can leave you more sensitive to louder sounds, it's actually incredibly common among people with hearing difficulties. Because I wear hearing aids, they amplify the blower noise, and I and my fellow hearing aid wearers suffer even more. Thank you very much. And during COVID, I began walking in my neighborhood as my exercise because my gym was closed. And that's when I really began hating blowers. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Can we call up the next three testifiers, please?
Albert Kaufman, Alicia Cohen, and Charles Wolsborn. Albert is online.
Hi, Albert. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Is it my turn?
Yeah, sure is. 2 minutes, please.
Okay.
Name for the record, but no address.
Albert Kaufman. And I want to thank you all today for hearing us on this ordinance. It's not every day that an issue that I work on gets to actually get a hearing before a city council or anywhere else. So much appreciated. I've been part of the crew that's been working on this for 7 years, and I'm sure you're all tired of receiving emails from me. I just want to say that a couple of things that I've heard today I think are interesting. But the main thing that really comes to my mind after thinking this over for many months and years is, the role of our government. We all know that these gas-powered leaf blowers and actually lawnmowers and anything gas-powered really should be banned immediately. Whether you consider the health of the people of using them or everyone else that's around, or insects or birds, everything that's alive is suffering because of these things. And if we really thought this was an emergency that we're in, and I do think that personally, we would react immediately. If you look at cities like Oakland, we talked to the city councilor in Oakland, Dan Kalb, and he came back to us and said, I'm a champion for this issue, and so we're going to ban these and give everyone 6 months to deal with it. Well, they did exactly that, and they've had hardly any complaints at all. Okay, so today someone wrote to me because she wanted to testify, and I just want to read her testimony to you because I think it's valuable. Her name's Nikki Abbott, and she said, I signed up to join today's, but I doubt I'll be able to make it because of work. What I really wanted to add today is that as someone who works outside of my dog walking business, I can say without a doubt there isn't a single hour of any day, any time of year that there isn't the sound of gas-powered leaf blowers. Today, as I'm out hearing them on every block, this is 7 days a week, 365 days a year on holidays. I can't wait another 4 years to have this end. We all have to make a living, but we don't have to force it on the entire community. We can change now. And I want to just say that her point about we should be doing this now is exactly what I would say. We should have done this years ago. The timelines on this are ridiculous. We should shorten them. Thanks for hearing me today, and thanks for hearing this issue.
Rebecca, can we call up our next testifier?
Alicia Cohen.
Hi, Alicia, welcome. 2 minutes, please.
Thank you. And thank you to the council for the opportunity to testify today in favor of this new ordinance. My name is Alicia Cohen, and I am the founder of Stop Burning Things PDX. We work on wood smoke and air pollution at the intersection of climate justice and air quality. This is such an important issue, and I've been actually so moved by the testimony today and with your opening, Commissioner Rubio. Thank you so much. The proposed ordinance is a wonderful step forward for landscape workers, our beautiful city and our climate, air quality, ecosystems, and the peace and quiet of our lived environment. I am very grateful to Commissioner Rubio and Chair Vega Peterson. I'm grateful to Quiet Clean PDX, BDS, and the Office of Sustainability, as well as to everyone who has worked so hard to bring us to this day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alicia. Rebecca, can we call up our next group?
Charles Wolsborn is next.
Great. Hey, Charles. Name for the record. No need to give us your address. Two minutes, please.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm Chuck Walsborn, managing partner for Gresham Golf Course in Gresham, Oregon. I'm a past president of the Oregon Golf Course Superintendents Association. Most golf facilities in the United States, according to the Small Business Administration, qualify as small businesses. And as an industry comprised of mostly small business, its sustainability is sensitive to the uncertainty of economic conditions and the impact of particularly unnecessary regulations. Many individual golf facilities operate on a small profit margin. Staff has mentioned consideration for the small guys. We are part of the small guys. Early adoption of battery-powered equipment may be practical for a homeowner on a quarter-acre lot. But for an average golf course covering over 150 acres, the needs are quite different. The drawbacks and deficiencies, particularly in a commercial operation, include limited battery life, runtime, insufficient power, limited charging infrastructure, the event of regional power grid reliability, recycling limitations, and the overall cost of new equipment, batteries, and charging stations. The cost of commercial-grade battery equipment can be 2 to 4 times that of gas counterparts. The Outdoor Power Equipment Institute reports that as far back as 2021, battery and electric equipment accounted for more than 56% of the U.S. market of power equipment, including to the general consumer market. Thus, policymakers should consider market forces ahead of leading to adoption to the use of battery-powered equipment. Such mandates have made the potential resorts for early market shortfalls of product, high consumer needs and demands, especially during a time of supply chain volatility. Adoption of new equipment and technology should be marketed based and fully considered on the availability of equipment, affordability, reliability, feasibility, and the ends of the end user, especially operating on a commercial scale. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck. Rebecca, who's up next?
Next, we have Nikki Abbott, Brian Koffler, and Alex Ketchum. Nikki was online.
Nikki, are you online? Nikki, can you hear us if you're online? If you could unmute if you're there, that would be great.
And we have,
Maybe we could skip Nikki and go to.
we're skip Nikki. We'll go to Brian Koffler.
Did you want to get this gentleman? I think he was waiting.
Oh, yeah, I'll hit it. I'll be
a while
quick.
back.
Hi, name for the record, 2 minutes.
Yeah, my name is Dr. Yuri Ramirez.
Welcome. We'd love to hear what you're thinking today.
Okay, so I spent 17 years as an engineer at Intel. Now I'm an owner of Clean Air Lawn Care. It's a national chain or franchise. I own the Portland West Side. I think that education is very important on this issue in terms of the health. The benefits are obvious. In terms of the economics, it is also obvious. Once you run the numbers, it is cheaper actually to run it in long term. So if someone is starting new, it is cheaper. If someone is starting on replacing equipment, that is a concern because any expense is worse than no expense. But if you're looking at the long term, it is much more beneficial to do electric. My particular concern is not so much with no pun intended, with golf course and the big companies. It's more with John Smith that owns a truck with lift blowers, and they may have a difficult time upgrading. So I'm all for helping the environment as a business owner. Part of me says I'd rather not have this pass because I'll have more customers. But as a Portlander that cares about the environment, and I have such a company, I think it's the right thing to do at the right time. I just want to make sure that that the people that don't have the resources to upgrade are taken care of. I don't know the details, but with credits or any way that they can, they're not priced out of the market.
Thank you so much. And we'll go, please, what's name for the record? No need to give us your address, 2 minutes.
Thank you. Brian Koffler. I'm a Southeast Portland resident, but today I'm speaking on behalf of the Oregon Golf Course Superintendents Association, which is a trade association representing over 330 golf industry professionals managing golf courses in Oregon and Southwest Washington, which 7 of our member courses are located within the Portland city limits. The members of the OGCSA are committed to the adoption and use of electric equipment as technology improves, but do not support this phase-out, which will result in an outright ban of critically needed equipment by obviously 2028. While the proposed ordinance may be practical for homeowners, the needs of golf course superintendents maintaining an average of 150 acres of valuable community green space are very different. Golf is more than just an enjoyable pastime in the state. According to a 2020 economic and environmental impact study commissioned by the Golf Alliance of Oregon, golf contributes $1.6 billion to the state's overall economy and supports over 16,000 jobs, while generating $69 million annually in tax revenue for state and local governments. We ask that the city consider focusing on incentives to help this transition occur naturally and cost effectively for small businesses that will be impacted, such as golf courses. One can not only consider the cost of a GLB compared to an electric version using just one battery. Golf course operators will require multiple batteries to complete jobs throughout the day and would need to install costly charging station infrastructure. While there's mention of program development to offset costs for small businesses that would experience disproportionate hardships, details have not been shared. There's no indication of where the funds will come from, how much the businesses will receive, and who will be eligible. If this ordinance is to pass, we respectfully request that golf courses are included for funding to assist in the transition. In summary, OGCSA remains committed to embracing innovation and new technologies. If a full exemption from the ordinance is not possible, we ask that the implementation deadline be extended and that financial incentives and rebate programs be included for Portland City golf courses. We thank city staff for their engagement on the issue and listening to our concerns, especially that of Sonrisa Cooper, and we appreciate your consideration of the issues. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for your testimony. Rebecca, can you call our next 3?
Next, we have Nolan Wenker, Jim Myers, and Jessica Stolzberg.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Name for the record, 2 minutes, please.
Thank you very much, Presiding Officer Maps, presenting Commissioner Rubio, members of the City Council. My name is Nolan Winker. I am here today to speak to you on behalf of the Oregon Golf Course Superintendents Association as a member and past president of the Oregon Golf Course Superintendents Association, which represents over 330 golf industry professionals who manage golf course grounds at over 177 golf courses in Oregon, Southwest Washington, 7 of which of these courses are located within the city of Portland, 5 of which are owned and operated by the city of Portland themselves, accounting for over 330 full-time and part-time jobs. Commissioner Gonzalez, really quick to answer your previous question regarding weight. Our current backpack blower that we use commercially weighs about 21 pounds. The best commercial option is about 38 pounds with the battery. Cost-wise as well, startup cost-wise, current backpack blower, a gas backpack blower, $549. The commercial equivalent with a single battery plus the charger is nearly $3,000 as an initial investment. So as you can tell, there's a considerable amount of difference there. As a representative of the Oregon Superintendent Association, I am committed to the adoption and use of electrical equipment as technology improves, but I do not support this phase out, which will result in an outright ban of critically needed equipment by January 1st of 2028. While this phase out is well intended and primarily focused on homeowners and other small land parcels, maintaining finely manicured turf grass on nearly 150 acres is simply not practical. From the city's own impact statement, the city recognizes that the electric leaf blowers are not yet powerful enough. Gas blowers are an important tool used throughout the entire year, not just during the wet season. Our current model of gas blowers are quieter than the city noise ordinance with 65 decibels at 50 feet and produce less emissions than the current EPA and California Air Resource Board standards, the strictest in the country. Golf course superintendents are committed to the efficient and safe usage of this important tool around their neighboring properties, clientele, as well as those who work on the golf course. We strictly adhere to and in many times exceed all worker protection standards with regards to any power equipment. I am concerned that this amendment will have detrimental financial impact on small businesses, which golf courses are small businesses. Thank you, Presiding Officer Maps, presenting Commissioner Rubio and the rest of the City Council for your engagement on the issue. I appreciate your consideration of the issues myself and my industry have while making the final decision of this ordinance.
Thank you so much. Our next testifier, please.
I'm Jim Myers. I'm a homeowner here in Portland, and I do agree with technology with moving to electric backpack blowers. I feel technology isn't up to par right now. The electric blowers need a lot of future investment to be able to handle what you guys are asking for in 2028. I can see the use of electric blowers for a yard, but not for a golf course. In Portland, for a golf course to maintain 180 acres, it's going to be pretty much impossible with the electric blowers that are currently have in the industry right now, or in the next 2 years in 2028. There's a lot more that's going to have to happen. I would ask the council to look at golf course maintenance before moving forward with this, the 2010. And then also, it was stated that you guys would look into it a little bit more, within the next 2 years. But technology is going to have to change quite a bit for golf courses to operate and be able to maintain 180 acres. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. Rebecca, could you call our next 3?
Next, we have Jessica Stolzberg. She's online.
Hi, Jessica. First name, last name, 2 minutes, please.
Hi there. I'm Jessica Stolzberg. I grew up in Portland and graduated in 1990 from Wilson, now Ida B. Wells High School. I moved to New York City to attend college and have remained on the East Coast, though returned to Portland with my own family and to visit my mom and longtime friends. I'm a freelance writer and increasingly focus on the intersection of public health and climate resilience. I've been specifically focused on the hazards and harms of the gas leaf blower for 3 years. I've written about the gas leaf blower in the New York Times and as a guest on a climate segment on NPR. Today I heard remarks from city officials that you acknowledge this machine as a health and environmental hazard that deserves rapid attention. Your effort dates back to 2018. A full ban will not go into effect until 2028. I'd like to express my grave concern and disappointment that you'll not begin to protect the public health of all who live and work in Portland for another 2 years. The gas leaf blower will not leave Portland ahead of a law. It will do so because of one. Based on my work over the last 3 years, calls for transition are simply not enough. The gas leaf blower will remain in wide use for the next 2 years, all of this for a singular yard maintenance tool where viable alternatives exist. The most affected by this machine are those who wear them on their backs, largely an invisible workforce without health benefits. One of your speakers today suggests the opposite view, that these workers or their bosses would be harmed by eliminating the machine. This is difficult to hear, knowing the immense health risks to every single worker. There is a growing number of cities and towns that have outlawed this machine. These locales are not only succeeding without the gas leaf blower, they are healthier and safer. I have interviewed countless residents, landscapers, and city officials. They are succeeding with today's technology and with a paradigm shift in land practices. The law, in effect, was what allowed for true change. Are Portland leaves more difficult than in other cities and towns? What must you blow 12 months of the year, which requires the delay of even seasonal limits as a starting point? How did the city of Portland manage leaves during my entire childhood, during which I have no memory of gas leaf blower use? Portland limits the idling of commercial vehicles to 5 minutes. If this law is on your books, you must consider why you will continue to legally allow a machine with emissions exponentially worse, emissions that would fail an inspection at the DMV, to blow for continuous hours across your neighborhoods, parking lots, parks, and school grounds. The gas leaf blower is cars without seatbelts, DDT, asbestos, lead in paint, and indoor smoking. You already know all of the dangers of this machine. You acknowledge them today, and yet you are passing legislation that will keep their use unchecked for the next 2 years. This is the opposite of a commitment to public health. Join those ahead of you. Please do not continue for Portland to lag behind for the next 2 years. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We can go to our next speaker. I believe that's Erica.
Erica McGill.
Welcome, Erica.
Hi.
Hi.
My name's Erica McGill. I am a Mount Tabor resident, and my data is just me.
Yeah.
I just want to report my experiences of living in Mount Tabor. I moved there in 1990, so it's been a long time. I moved there specifically because I'm a walker. And I like to walk around the neighborhood. I loved going through Mount Tabor. And it's getting increasingly difficult with the noise and triggering my asthma. So when leaf blowing season's at its highest, I have to take an inhaler or I have to wear a mask. And it's complete degradation of my experience of living in my neighborhood. So that's my data. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Can we go to our next speaker?
Jill Bellinger.
Is
Jill's
Jill, I
online.
think. Jill, I think you're online. Can you hear us?
Hi, yes, my name is Jill Bellinger.
Hey.
I'm here to commend the members of Quiet Clean PDX, hey guys, and others, because as a longtime advocate for and an expert on sustainable landscaping, I know how hard it is to stand up to an industry full of lobbyists that put profits above all else. One of those lobbyists, OPEI, likely provided word-for-word testimony here today. I've heard it before. The landscaping industry continues to push a false narrative that we cannot live without this one outdated and noxious device. In reality, we cannot live with it. When the late Commissioner Nick Fish passed his 2019 legislation, I thought that this was the start of something incredible. But here we are in 2024, considering a law that will only allow them to pollute, to continue to pollute for yet another 4 years. We have the research, we don't need more proof. In 2022, a member of the Parks Department in Wilsonville, Oregon, just south of Portland, got inspired by a Seattle Parks Department presentation all about climate adaptation in public parks. He started a program of leaving leaves in unpaved areas, taking note to leave a wider area under tree strip lines to provide essential nutrients to the soil while limiting the use of blowers in the process. We can learn to blow less. focusing more on regenerative ecology, soil health, and erosion control, all of which saves time and money, I promise. I've been working with the Seattle Parks to bring that same presentation to a wider audience, and they've agreed to offer it again this April, woohoo, and record it on their YouTube page. People need to know that there's a better way and that legislation like this is essential, and it doesn't work if lobbyists continue to brand them as job killers and somehow more dangerous than carting around truckloads of flammable gasoline. Thank you.
Thank you, Jill. Rebecca, could you call our next speaker?
Jim Bell.
Jim, I think you're virtual. Jim, can you hear us?
I don't think he's signed in.
Okay. Can we get, I think our speaker after Jim is also virtual. Can you call Jordan?
Jordan Weiss.
Jordan, are you out there?
Patrick Tangrady. Dan Gilk.
Welcome, Dan. Maybe first name, last name, and try to limit your comments to 2 minutes.
I'm Dan Gilk. I'm a concerned Southeast resident, and I want to just commend Quiet Clean PDX on their work. I actually just recently learned about this movement and was very happy to jumped at the invitation to come here and just express my support for the ordinance. Really hope it makes it through. One concern I have is around what seems like some weaker enforcement aimed at contractors. I think that what we've heard today, I'd echo a lot of what we have heard today about these carve-outs and how they are basically allowing the fox to run the hen house here. We need to be pushing for legislation that moves the city forward. Businesses will probably kick and scream as they're taken along with us, but that's normal for this kind of legislation. And we just need to be future-minded about this. That's all.
Okay. Thank you so much. Before you go, I see Commissioner Gonzalez's hand is up.
Oh,
Commissioner
I'm
Gonzalez.
sorry, I'm good. I clicked something.
Okay, no, you're good. Let's go to our next testifier, who I suspect is Robert Butler. Robert, come on up. Robert, you've been with us all day long. I admire your perseverance. First name, last name.
Dr. Bob Butler. I'm a native. So this looks like a noise ordinance issue. The complainers mainly, the real ones, are the ones that are just miserable in their life because of this distraction to their life. But it's a noise issue. We're on the wrong foot. We're on the wrong horse. So it's possibly it's a land use situation, and residential zoning could prohibit this in their noise ordinance and leave industry alone, and those that don't like it can move into their residential sanctuary, and we're good. It's not really a health issue. Come on, we've been talking about health all day. This is not a health issue. This is also, my point is, this is not a global warming issue. And I really object to this because you're taking this money from a fund that is responsive to climate change. This is nothing for climate change, absolutely nothing. This does.
Folks, let's try to get.
This, in terms of climate change, does not move the needle at all. Nothing. So I object to you taking the money from the climate change money. You go find another way to get it, but leave that alone. And I'm also disappointed that the homework wasn't done. Commissioner Gonzalez had it right. What is the difference? And we missed it. It's twice as much weight practically and 4 times more expensive. And this committee and this analysis missed all of that. And that's why I'm thinking it's more of a noise issue and it's more of a land use issue, and let the jobs go forward in the industrial areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Can we go to our next speaker, please?
Regina Wilson. Regina's online.
Hi, Regina. 2 minutes.
Hi
Maybe
there,
first
my-
name, last 2 minutes.
Regina Wolfson. I live in Southwest Portland. This is absolutely an environmental issue and a noise issue. There's so much support that when these leaves are blown, it impacts the environment. There's soil erosion, especially on the golf courses. So I work from home. I know the schedule of every single maintenance company that comes around, and my work is impacted every single day, even on the days where I can just anticipate the noise coming. I get very stressed out. So I just want you to also think about all the people in the city that work from home. So it's definitely about the people that use these things, and it's about their jobs, but it's also the people that work at home and their jobs. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Regina. And I think we might have 2 more people signed up to testify on this item, and they're both online. Rebecca, could you call our next testifier?
Next, we have Sarah Silky.
Hi, Sarah. First name, last name, 2 minutes, please.
Sarah Silky. I live in Southwest Portland, and I agree that this is very much an environmental issue. I am less worried about the noise myself. I want to start by thanking you all for your support of this ordinance and for not letting the perfect being the enemy of the good. This is a step in the right direction. That said, implementation of this simple measure is being delayed in the name of equity, which is ironic because the very people most affected by the direct negative health impacts are the people doing the work, carrying these things around and breathing this stuff all day. The workers themselves are not here complaining because they need their jobs. It's the government's job to protect these workers by banning the harmful tools that harm their health and harm the environment, especially because there are viable alternatives available. Leaf blowers are not necessary. They are definitely not critical equipment, even for a golf course. In the big scheme of things, leaf blower operators will continue to have plenty of work. Consider that before 1947, nobody used leaf blowers because they didn't exist. Also note that in 1947, the atmospheric concentration of CO2 was 310 parts per million, and nobody had even heard of global climate change. I don't believe that there are catastrophic numbers of people slipping and falling on wet leaves, and I think golf was a thing back then too. Is cheap maintenance more important than stopping global warming? Is it more important than preventing wild forest fires and 115-degree days in Portland? We lost 72 people from heat in a single summer. 2-stroke engines, I think, should be banned altogether. And this is a small step in the right direction. So thank you so much for your time and for moving this forward.
Thank you, Sarah. And I believe we have at least 1 more testifier on this. Rebecca, could you call our next member of the public to testify?
Arlene Landry. Arlene's joining us online.
Hi, Arlene. Can you hear us? Does Arlene appear to be online? I'm not seeing her, but.
Arlene Landry. Arlene, are you there? Mm-hmm.
Arlene, it looks like you might be on mute. Is it *9 to unmute in this system? All right, it looks like Arlene, it looks like we're having some technical difficulties getting you online. I encourage you to submit some written testimony to the clerk, and we'll make sure that gets circulated to everyone's offices. Rebecca, do we have any more public testimony on this one?
That completes testimony.
Okay, great. Colleagues, that completes public testimony on this item. Any questions or discussion? Commissioner Gonzalez, you look pensive.
I'm pensive, but bear with
Also
me a second.
tired?
Bear with me a moment here. I'm going to think of it here.
Here, if I may, I'll jump in. I want to thank Commissioner Rubio for bringing this item forward. I want to thank staff for the presentation. Like many of you, I have been around this issue. Judging from the history, for about as long as it's been out there, for about 7 years. Really glad to see this move forward. Some of the concerns that got brought up today are also concerns that I'm still thinking about and have questions on. The equity piece, I'm not exactly sure. It looks like we're handing over developing a subsidy program to the county. It would be great at some point if we could learn more about that. As I look at the framework for the program that's before us today, I'll tell you, it sure looks like Parks has had a good communications with planning and sustainability around what this looks like, and that's great. I always like good communication. A thing which I'm also aware of as the commissioner in charge of the Water Bureau and the Bureau of Environmental Services is that we do a lot of land management too. You know, out at Bull Run, for example, we were fighting a forest fire last summer, and frankly, industrial scale leaf blowers are part of the arsenal of tools that we use, and we do it at an industrial scale. Like right now, the technology that we need to do that work doesn't exist. We'd love to continue to engage with Commissioner Rubio around some of those issues. I have the great privilege of being on a member of council, so I can, if Commissioner Rubio is open to having these staff level discussions about some of those concerns, I'd be happy to do that so I don't have to keep folks here later on today. But those are some of the main things I'm thinking about right now.
Yeah, we're open to that. I would probably bring staff into those meetings because they're in the weeds, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just kind of unloaded a little bit. Staff, wanted any initial thoughts on, what do you do if you're a big city bureau and you're, right now, the technology to manage your space, the leaf blowers for me to manage some of the wildlands we have for water, BES don't exist. I know Parks literally has some golf courses too, when we heard a lot of concerns around the golf community. Any thoughts on what the city should do in situations like that?
Yes, thank you for the question. We did engage and proactively reached out to both BES, PBOT, Portland Water Bureau, and of course our Parks Department, because these are the bureaus that manage over 15% of lands within the city of Portland boundaries, including a number of our golf courses. And so a number of the infrastructure bureaus did indicate that they wished Parks to be the lead on engagement in these conversations, because what would work for Parks would also likely work for them as well. Every scenario is different, and I have heard of some of the concerns from the Portland Water Bureau, and look forward to understanding how we can meet the considerations of those frontline workers during our ever-changing climate, during the full calendar cycle of the year, while accounting for that wet leaf season carve-out that we currently have. We also understand there's a number of exceptions that will be needed to make in order to have the charging infrastructure, much like how you're not going to send out a crew without the necessary cans of gasoline for fuel for gas-powered leaf blowers. We also need to ensure that workers are able to go out there with the necessary equipment for electric leaf blowers. And so that is exactly why the ordinance also currently has, if folks do need to apply for an exemption, including ourselves as a city, to upgrade electrical equipment, knowing how long sometimes procurement may happen in the city, it does allow for that as well.
Let me maybe get an explicit response to one of the other concerns I hear about this program. often. I think for most Portlanders, this is a no-brainer, very exciting, especially if you're committed to fighting climate change, as we all are. One place where I do hear pushback are from small landscapers who are literally tend to be people of color, often essentially low-income folks. I think we heard some numbers today around how much a gas-powered leaf blower costs versus an electric leaf blower. I might have gotten this wrong, but I thought I heard someone say something like $358 for a gas-powered, maybe about $3,000 or something for an electric. I don't know if that's real. I might have gotten that wrong. And I'm also, I see in here the county is going to work to come up with some subsidy program, which is great. But yeah, I guess council, I think, is probably on the verge of passing this, which is likely to create some new expenses for businesses. Glad to hear the county is likely to come up with a subsidy program. But I don't control the county's budget, which is a lesson I learned over and over and over again. So what do I say to the small businesses out there, especially the small businesses of color who actually do this work? Do I just say, well, the county's going to come in with dollars to save you? Can you give us a sense of what that's likely to look like?
Sure. Thank you, Commissioner. John Waszczynski again. I'm here on behalf of the chair, and the chair is committed to putting general fund dollars in her budget for a subsidy program. We've done a lot of thinking about what that's going to look like. Limiting it to smaller businesses. Helping to absorb up to half the cost of a new blower. Probably limiting the total amount to a single business just to make sure that we're able to touch as many businesses as we can through this subsidy, making sure that we're doing the outreach. OLCA's generously offered to help us with that outreach, especially those smaller, two guys in a truck type of businesses that are out there. I'm not really able at this time to talk about exact dollar amounts because the chair hasn't released her budget yet. But she has made the commitment and sent me here today to communicate with the council that she is going to make that a priority for the budget.
Great. So based on those comments, we should expect a line item in the chair's next budget for leaf blowers?
Correct.
Leaf blower subsidies?
Yeah,
Okay.
we call it a program offer. There'll be a program offer specifically for the incentive program.
Great. And one more question, and then I'll hand it over to Commissioner Ryan, whose digital hand is up. What about one of the groups that obviously got mobilized today were the golf folk? Would we expect the golf companies to be eligible for the subsidy program, or is that they're probably kind of a different?
Yeah, I mean, we should work to understand what their needs are, certainly. But the one thing just to keep in mind is that this is for backpack and handheld blowers, and so there's lots of there's other blower technology out there, believe it or not, that attaches to a tractor, for example, and gets pulled behind a tractor, and that's not being regulated here today. There's blowers that roll on the ground, so there's a variety of technology out there for bigger spaces, besides the rake, as some people mentioned.
And actually, I said I was going to hand it off, but it's something which would be helpful, and I think I've been at least on the periphery of this debate and sometimes in the center for about 5 or 6 years. And one of the confusing things is how the city and the county wind up collaborating on this. Is that baked into the nature of the problem, or is this a unique approach that Portland has chosen? I'm trying to think of programs that look like this, and I'm having I can't think of a lot of other topics that look like this one.
I think when we look at the long stretch of history, there's lots of examples of the county and the city working really well together, particularly in the climate space and environmental space. But just one example of the city's health code is bees and chickens, right? So the city has certain regulations around bees and chickens, and you don't have a bees and chickens inspector. Our health officer serves that role when there's a complaint about it. So I imagine this working in the same exact fashion where, there's an intergovernmental agreement between the city and the county, and if there's we'll develop the complaint protocol and everything as this ordinance passes, the rules are written, et cetera.
And actually, I'm glad you mentioned that. I think of the space of vector control, which I over at BES have some often play a role in, and there is some collaboration there. Great. I really appreciate the conversation. Commissioner Ryan has been very patient. Commissioner Ryan.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Mapps. I'm going to start off by saying thank you. That was a really good overview that you did at the beginning, and the testimony was really helpful. I want to ask about implementation. What I've noticed as a voter for years and since I've been on council is government's so good at passing so many policies, and if you looked at how many were implemented in the timeline they suggested, it's a pretty bad record. And then when you have the audacity to actually put it out in public, then you're terrorized. So I get it now more than ever. But I'm proud to say that everything that I've really worked on has been implemented. And so I just need to understand the timeline a little bit more. There was a slide on it. Could that come up again? Is that a big ask? It was in the presentation earlier.
Yeah, I can start talking about that while we're bringing up the slide. So.
And particularly with, I know that we've been in many meetings with parks, and obviously we have golf courses in the city.
Mm-hmm.
And we also know, based on what we've heard today, that resources are an issue to help with the transition. I thought the gentleman representing the landscapers did a very good job of elegantly answering that question. So it gets to the PSEF dialogue we're having,
Mm-hmm.
and is that already earmarked for the implementation with parks? I just don't know.
As far as I know, the PSEF dollars are earmarked already.
I believe that the committee, thank you for the question. I believe that the committee is still finalizing their final recommendations, but there is currently a proposal to help meet a very thorough memo that the Parks Bureau did prepare for us that clearly outlined what their needs would be in order to meet the proposal as we had in its first iteration.
That's my understanding. So parks and BPS have had the dialogue and have come to an agreement. Now it's in the committee's hands.
That's correct.
And I think those testifying know we're in budget season, so it's really important to ask such questions.
It is.
Any other concerns that we have on implementation? Because even though it's delayed to many that are here, it still needs to be ambitious. And I think what we often find out is when we're 3 months before the goal, we realize that we have to move it again. So
Yeah, so
what kind of checkpoints do we have to make sure that we're on course too?
I can talk about how we ended up with that, the timeline, which is on the slide. So 2026 for a partial year ban, 2028 for a full year ban. So that's 4 years away. And that's based on a few different things. One is the technology. So when we spoke with stakeholders in the landscaping industry, I mean, you've heard already the charging time, the runtime of electric leaf blowers is not equivalent yet during the really heavy season. And that the expectation is that in 3 to 5 years, that technology will have parity with gas blowers. And so we split the difference. We went with 4 years. And that is really based on, phase outs like this happening around the country and showing more demand for it, customers asking for electric equipment, and most importantly, the state of California implementing a ban on the sale of all gas-powered lawn equipment statewide. That just went into effect at the beginning of the year. So that's not just leaf blowers, that's lawn mowers, hedge trimmers, chainsaws. Everything is going to be electrified. And so our thinking is that similar to the renaissance of hybrid and electric vehicles from California's air emission standards, the same thing is going to happen with lawn equipment.
That's really helpful.
So that's part of it. The other reason that we went with 2026 for that partial year ban, it's based on kind of the big property owners we're talking about, schools, parks, universities. A lot of those bigger institutions are on 2-year budget cycles. So even if they wanted to do this tomorrow, they need to wait till the next biennium before they can actually implement it. So that's part of it. There's also, slow procurement, need for electrical upgrades. And then that also gives us plenty of time to do outreach and education. The original version of the policy had grace periods in 2026 and 2028 on enforcement. And so we removed those because we knew that people wanted to move the dates up, but moving the dates up would not be workable for commercial contractors or property owners. So that's kind of the the middle ground that we found. It makes it basically just gives the policy teeth a year earlier, but it doesn't change the actual dates.
Okay. 1 second. Okay, so when you have these up here, how are we going to measure that a partial year ban has gone into effect? What kind of metrics are we measuring, and how will we get that data?
So the partial year ban refers to the wet leaf season, as we call it, the carve out from October through December. So for the first 9 months of the year, so January through September, it's electric leaf blowers only.
Oh, okay.
And then October through December, gas leaf blowers will be allowed for 2 years. And that's really accommodating for the technology to improve.
Okay, so this is a factor of the wet leaf season is what's in here.
Yes.
Okay, that wasn't clear to me, but now it is. Might want to do a graphic to maybe enhance that. And then I think there are a few people testified about how we would enforce it. What are the early conversations like when it comes to enforcement?
Yeah, thanks for the question. We've had discussions with both our noise ordinance officer, who currently fields all of the calls and complaints that are driven, and also looking forward to working with our partners at the county in order to figure out exactly what the volume is going to be and how we will be doing enforcement. We'll work that through our intergovernmental agreement. And again, just want to emphasize that the way we've crafted this policy is really to try not to be punitive. That's not where we want to be. We want to do as much education on the front end. And we hope that the schedule that we've proposed is really for the most egregious violators.
Now that sounds good, but we all know if there aren't consequences, bad behavior will continue.
Assuredly.
And then we had a 311 celebration earlier today, so I assume they might be in that system.
That could be a great resource for us to utilize.
Is this a suggestion, a friendly suggestion, if you will?
Thank you.
Let me look at the other ones. Implementation. This will bring you into the conversation, John. When you mention the county, is Gresham, Fairview, Troutdale, Corbett, are they all, Wood Village, are they all having this conversation as well?
Thanks, Commissioner, for mentioning all the other cities in Multnomah County.
It's my school background, so I love remembering the different districts.
It's impressive. It's impressive. Yeah. You got them all. The city of Gresham is actually adopting their first ever climate action plan in just the next few weeks. This isn't, leaf blowers aren't called out explicitly, but thanks to the partnership with the city of Portland, we'll be ready for the exact same process to roll out and to assist those other cities if they choose to go forward with similar types of policies. So we're right there for them. We collaborate with those other cities all the time on these types of issues, and we're certainly making them aware of what the city of Portland's doing in case they want to imitate and copy. And as we've heard from some of the testifiers, that's what we're doing. We're copying from other people who have implemented types of policies.
But, there's a lot to like here, but one thing to really like is if it was at scale, and so we wouldn't be alone once again, Portland against the rest of the municipalities, but we actually did it together. So the fact that you're here representing the chair, that Commissioner Rubio and Chair Vega Peterson have been working together, that's something to really like about this. So I'm hoping to hear that has more legs to it.
Absolutely.
And then I think that's enough. Thank you so much.
Any other, Commissioner Gonzalez?
I think this is mostly for sustainability. When we're looking at the movement to electrification, what are your current assumptions about the quality of Oregon's grid in terms of the production of electricity, and what assumptions are you making as to the sources of electricity in our region?
Thank you for the question. We have 2 main utility providers for electricity in our region, and they both released their clean power plans. Each of them have used a different marketing phrase for what it is, but they both have released their plans, and there is still a transition to be made to be completely free of fossil fuels for both PGE and Pacific Power. And so we're taking that into consideration as we're seeing a larger adoption of electrification in all forms of mobility and sort of equipment. And we're continuing to track that and working with all stakeholders, including very closely at the county and with the utility boards. To both understand the mix that's currently within our electric sector, but also like where we're going and also what the burdens are on that.
Do you have high level those figures in terms of current mix for PG and Pacific Corp? Because I mostly bring it up because I think it's important for citizens to be paying attention to the assumptions that underlie electrification. And I've been all in on electrification in our own household. I've had some starts and stops on that because the other thing we need to talk about from a sustainability perspective is the impact of batteries, and particularly the battery disposal, which is a nasty, nasty business, whether you're talking vehicles or you're talking leaf blowers. And so, and just one more observation, but then I will get back to the question, is we've seen our local utilities really double down on natural gas adoption to help fill some of the gaps. We're still seeing very high coal utilization in both Pacific Corp and PGE, and not a lot of optimism that that's going to improve in the short term, notwithstanding the long term articulated plan. So I was just curious if you had the numbers off the top of your head or high level, and if you don't, that's fine. People can find them online, but.
You have great confidence in my ability to remember numbers, which is higher than the reality. So no, unfortunately, I do not have those numbers off the top of my head. My colleagues at the Bureau of Planning and Sustainability right now probably wish they had placards to hold up for me like a race car driver to let me know what those are. The one thing I do want to note, though, however, is that this is a dynamic conversation. I mean, we have a great influx of federal investment that's coming to incentivize rooftop solar. Of course, the city itself through BPS offered a number, and BDS offered a number of code amendment changes to help spur that and to help receive the interest from residential rooftop solar, at least. We have a long way to go to really achieve a just transition within our communities. It's going to take a lot of dedication and hard work and working with our partners at the utilities and also with manufacturers to ensure that we can meet that on the front end, that we can also encourage people to understand the best usage and time of use, for example, to use new equipment responsibly, and then also how to dispose and recycle in an ethical way on the back end. Fortunately, at BPS, we're able to work through a number of those issues through the entire continuum, including for disposal. And so that's something we're going to be continuing to track, but it is dynamic. So it's difficult for me to answer the question specifically related to leaf blowers and other lawn equipment.
Yeah, and it's just, from a policy perspective, this is just something we're going to have to wrestle with. What are our assumptions? And I think the last time we visited this in a really deep way was around EV chargers and what we were doing there. I was actually disappointed in where utilities were in terms of, as of right now, this moment, coal usage in the region. It's much higher than I had assumed. I think particularly for Pacific Corp, but it's
true. Yes.
It's that disappointing to think that you're shifting from gas to electrical. That's actually driving more use of coal, at least at times right now, and it's as well as natural gas.
Yes.
Commissioner, I mean, just at the very highest level, the utilities have until 2040 to get to 100% clean electricity supply for all customers in their service territories in the state of Oregon. And there's interim dates around getting fully off coal, and then obviously to getting to all clean. And I'm saying clean deliberately because it's not all renewable. It's going to be all clean. So there might be a mix of hydro, nuclear, other sources mixed in there as well. The other thing to keep in mind about electric equipment is that it's inherently more efficient. So if you kind of put your hand after you've been driving your internal combustion engine car around all day, you'll feel heat on the hood. If you put your hand on the hood of your electric car, there's actually no engine in there, so you won't feel any heat. But it loses a lot less energy going from stored energy to momentum, and that's true for the electric leaf blower as well. And the other thing to keep in mind about battery, there's certainly a lot of work to do around battery recycling and making sure that those minerals stay in the supply chain. But gas and oil and all the other stuff that go into our internal combustion engines today, that's extracted as well, that's mined as well. And there's going to be studies I've seen have suggested there's about an 80% decrease in mining overall when you consider the fact that, with this transition, if you consider the fact that we're not, digging up, sand for oil or, drilling for oil or fracking for oil and gas in the future.
I'd be interested to see the assumptions on that because precious metals involved in the development of batteries is also a nasty mining business.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not just on the disposal, it's actually on the generation of batteries that's problematic. And maybe the answer for all of us is the greenest possible solution. You rake and ride a bike. And
Yeah,
that's you use your body is
the Dan Ryan solution.
it's and just one last point on the long-term plans for the utilities. As of right now, natural gas still qualifies as a green energy source for that purpose, correct? I mean, they're certainly treating it currently when they report as a qualifying clean energy. I don't know if that's how it maps in their long-term plans, but currently, that's my understanding.
The utilities still have thermal. They still have thermal resources like gas plants, but those are not considered part of their clean mix, and it won't be beyond
part of their long. I'd be curious to see how that maps out because that is a point of confusion currently where natural gas is not included.
Yeah, I don't.
Last but not least, just on the incentives, I want to make sure I understand how this is flowing through. So the current proposal before PSEF, who would benefit from the incentives? Is it just contractors, or is there? I just wanted to understand the bucket of what we're envisioning there.
Sure. Thanks for the question. So the PSEF allocation that's currently being considered by the committee is actually just to meet the Portland Parks and Recreation requirement in order to make the transition. In the incentives that we're speaking about in the larger programmatic education and really getting that out to the two people in a truck type situation is really going to be handled by our partners at the county, and they're making that budgetary request at this time.
Okay. I got it. That's it for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Gonzalez. Colleagues, I believe that completes testimony and questions and dialogue today. I want to thank everyone who came in person to testify on this item, who showed up virtually to testify on this item, and submitted written testimony on this. I'll tell you, this discussion has been going on for at least 7 years. I want to congratulate Commissioner Rubio for getting us to the point of where we are today. So this item passes on to a second reading. Thank you so much for being here, and let's continue our discussion and refinement as we move forward. And colleagues, I'll remind you that we have a rate hearing that we still have to get through today. We need to give staff, let's say, a 10-minute break, so maybe we can reconvene at 4:15, and if we are lucky, we will be able to wrap up today by 5 o'clock, although that will require some discipline.
All right.
Well done.
get through before we wrap up our day. Rebecca, can you read items 211 and 212 for us, please? And you can read them together. Oh, Mike's.
Item 211, authorize the rates and charges for water and water-related services beginning July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025, and fix an effective date. Item 212, revise sewer and stormwater rates, charges, and fees in accordance with the FY 2024-25 budget.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, these two items come out of my bureaus. This is essentially a rate hearing, but before we get to the meat of the day, I need to introduce an amendment for this item. Basically, I have a literal Scrivener's error that I need to clean up on item 211. That's the water rate ordinance. Here's basically what happened here. We filed 211. Last week, several pages of the ordinance were left out, I think because of literally a formatting error in the document and how that formatting interacted with our online portal. Staff noticed the omission almost immediately, about an hour later or so. In the short term, we addressed the problem by posting the full ordinance under the title, quote, proposed amended ordinance. That full ordinance was posted on Friday. The updated document and the amendment I'm about to introduce were reviewed by the city attorney and submitted to the clerk. So colleagues, I'm going to now introduce a motion, and I'll need a second on this motion. I move to amend the ordinance to include pages 2 through 16 of the ordinance. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you so much. Rebecca, can we call a vote on the amendment? Or is that the right thing to do now, or do I wait?
Vote on the amendment.
Okay, let's vote on the, let's call the roll on the amendment.
Rubio.
Aye.
Ryan.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Maps.
Aye. Thank you very much. And here, colleagues, I'm going to abbreviate my comments today so we don't keep staff here too late. But let me say a few words of introduction. Today, the Water Bureau and the Bureau of Environmental Services will present their annual rate ordinances. The mayor provided budget directives to the utilities to stay within their forecasted rate increases, and the rates that we propose today do just that. BES proposes a rate increase of 5.15%, and water proposes a rate increase of 7.9%. This translates into a combined water, sewer, and stormwater rate increase of 6.24% for the fiscal year 2024-2025. Here to tell us more about this proposed utility rates for the next fiscal year, we have Don Uchiyama, Environmental Service Director for our Director for Environmental Services, and Gabe Solmer, Director for the Water Bureau. Welcome, Gabe and Don.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Maps.
Sure.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm here with Gabe Solmer, and we have a short presentation. I'm going to take the first half. Gabe will take the second half. And as Commissioner Maps said, we're here today to address our need to increase our utility rates to support critical water, wastewater, and stormwater infrastructure investments, including our environmental stewardship goals and services that support Portland's economy and our community. Next slide. So we'll start with reviewing each of our organization's mission and budget objectives. BES's mission is to manage Portland's wastewater and stormwater infrastructure to protect public health and the environment. Our budget objectives include ensuring regulatory compliance and environmental leadership, promoting long-term financial stability, maintaining existing levels of service while finding efficiencies and new ways of working, proactively managing risk with our ongoing asset management and reinvestment strategies, and acknowledging our need to significantly advance our Bureau's equity plan priorities. Gabe, I'll let you cover water.
Thanks, Don.
Next slide.
Gabe Solmer for the Portland Water Bureau. Our mission is to serve excellent water every minute of every day, and our objectives are very similar to the ones that Don laid out for BES. And I'll just say that our budget is one of the biggest ways that we can live into those values. So we've always been a public health organization that thinks and acts at really a generational time horizon to build and maintain a water system that works for everyone.
Great. So I'm going to review some materials. You can go to the next slide. I'm going to review some materials that we shared in the Public Works budget work session just a month ago, pretty much a month ago today, starting with our shared assumptions for fiscal year 24-25 budget development. So as Commissioner Mapps mentioned, the utilities were directed in the mayor's November budget guidance to stay within our forecasted rate increase, 7.9 for water, 5.15 for BES, which we did. And this means we have a combined water, sewer, and stormwater bill increase of 6.24%. Also, following the Bureau of Development Services plan to increase fees by 5%, we capped our fees and other charges, including SDCs, to an increase of 5%. In many cases, this is less than the full cost of services provided, and Gabe will review a few trends later in the presentation. We're also assuming that the proposed PSEF funding allocation to water and BES will be included in the mayor's proposed budget. We also assume that the charter transition costs will remain limited and that there will be minimal changes to our general fund interagencies. So today we want to affirm the forecasted rate increases for water and BES, and that includes the first three assumptions listed on this slide. Next slide. So you saw a similar slide to this during our work session, but this version includes only the projected revenues for BES and for water for fiscal year 24-25. The point here is that our operating and capital budgets for both BES and water are almost entirely rate and fee based. We do not draw money from the general fund. In fact, nearly 90% of our revenue comes from water, sanitary, sewer, and stormwater rates. And you can see the smaller portions of the pie here come from, revenues come from SDCs and other development-related fees. So we are substantially reliant on these rate increases. Next slide. And so, whoops, my slides are not advancing. My notes, sorry. So this diagram illustrates the combined budgets or the requested expenditures of both utilities by major spending categories, which totals $1.5 billion. You may recall from the February budget work session that BES and water own a combined value of assets at $47.5 billion, which is nearly 70% of the city's total portfolio of capital assets. So over half of our expenditures go towards our large capital programs that support an ongoing investment and reinvestment in these capital assets. The debt service slice reflects infrastructure investments that have already been made, and the capital improvement slice reflects current investments, which includes large projects like the Water Bureau's filtration project, and for BES, we're working currently on the secondary treatment plant expansion. So when you combine past capital investments, which is now debt, and current investments, it sums to 2/3 of our total budget, which are the two darker shades of blue. Of the remaining 1/3, the two lighter shades of blue, about a quarter of that reflects non-discretionary expenditures like general fund overhead, utility license fees, pension bond payments, and transfers to rate stabilization. The remaining blue quarter there is our operations and maintenance cost. So as noted in the previous slide, roughly 90% of these expenditures are funded from rate revenue. You can go to the next slide. So this diagram shows the conditions of our Bureau's respective portfolio of assets, water in blue and BES in green. The majority of our assets, I'm pleased to report, are in very good and fair condition. However, with the size of our respective portfolios, we have $3.9 billion worth of assets that are in poor or very poor condition. There's also an estimated $4.9 billion worth of BES assets that we do not know the condition of. This is due to the challenges of accurately assessing their condition, such as pressurized pipes that are hard to get into and see, and our natural areas and waterways that are more complicated to assess. So accurately assessing the condition of all of our capital assets and the risk and the consequence of asset failures it's foundational data for both of our bureaus to carefully calculate our risk-based capital planning and investment decisions. So the bottom line is that, you can go to the next slide. The bottom line is that our shared infrastructure investment strategy focuses on the ongoing system maintenance, which includes addressing the poor and very poor asset conditions, regulatory compliance, seismic and climate resiliency, and equitable economic recovery. And we want to take this opportunity to emphasize that given the substantial size of our infrastructure investments, we are strongly tied to Portland's economic recovery. BES's 5-year CIP program is close to $1 billion. It's 986 million. And Water's 5-year CIP is 1.9 billion, and that includes the federally mandated treatment plants and pipelines that Water's working on now. So that means over the next 5 years, our two bureaus' combined investments expect to be near almost $3 billion, $2.9 billion, which is a real boost, a sizable boost to our economy and our overall city's economic recovery. And it's also really important to note here that with these investments, we're significantly contributing to the city's equitable contracting requirements and goals, as well as our equitable development efforts. So with that, I'll turn it over to Gabe.
Thanks, Don. Halfway through, pacing ourselves. We can move to the next slide. So just before we get into the mechanics of the rate ordinance, we wanted to review how your utility bill, for people who are watching at home, how that works. So most of us receive a sewer, stormwater, and water bill. And that investment, when people pay their bill, supports a mix of infrastructure maintenance and resiliency, environmental stewardship, and key utility services that support our economy, as Don was saying. We do regularly hear some confusion about what goes into our sewer, stormwater, and water bills, our utility bills. So just to break that down, if you receive a utility bill, you'll see a water volume charge for the amount of water that your household uses, and that pays for Portland's drinking water system. You'll also see a sewer volume charge, which pays for Portland's sewer system. And that charge is based on how much water you used during the billing period or an average use based off of your winter bill from the past year, whatever is lower. There's two charges for stormwater. Off-site charges pay for managing water runoff on public property, including city streets. And stormwater on-site charges pay for managing stormwater from private property. And that is the charge that can be reduced if people can safely manage the stormwater on their property and qualify for a Clean River Rewards discount. You'll also see the Portland Harbor Superfund charge, which helps fund the city's participation in the Superfund cleanup. And that charge is based off of your sewer volume plus a flat fee. And then finally, there is a base charge, which pays for account services like meter reading, billing, collection, customer service. And that's a daily charge that all customers pay. So hopefully that is helpful just to understanding what these rates go into and how your utility bill is invested. We can move to the next slide. With that bill explainer, I do want to highlight that our rates are affordable to many customers, but not all. We know that some customers need assistance, and we do have a robust financial assistance program that helps customers with lower incomes. Last month, we presented a smart discount program that uses machine learning algorithms to provide percentage-based discounts to qualified customers and eliminates the application process. So we're very excited to start that program this fall. We still have our tiered bill discounts for qualified senior and customers with disabilities. And we've also started implementation of our RAMP program. That's the Regulated Affordable Multifamily Assistance Program. That's a collaboration with the Housing Bureau. We're also expanding on the leak repair program with PSEF funding. And we hope to continue to support customers by offering payment plans. We also want to note that in paying for these discounts, it's really important that we keep our rates low for all. So both bureaus are committed to managing costs to minimize rate increases and keep those rates affordable. We can move to the next slide. So just getting into the rate ordinance for today, both bureaus forecast their rate increases over the long term in response to known and anticipated capital investment obligations and increases in regulatory and investment costs. Obviously, with the goal of keeping annual rate increases for our customers modest, sustainable, and predictable. That helps us smooth the rates over the years and avoid large cost spikes. So consistent with the mayor's directive, Water is requesting a 7.9% retail rate increase. BES is 5.15. We're also proposing to increase SDCs and other fees and charges capped at 5%. And just to be clear, those other fees are the ones you see on the screen, things like inspection and testing, plan review fees, fire line services, hydrants, those sort of things. We can move to the next slide. So just to break down a typical monthly bill so that we can see how these rate increases would affect our customers. So you can see these are based off of a single-family residential typical bill, monthly bill. So if these rates are approved, you'd see an increase of $8.88 across the whole utility bill. For folks in our Tier 1 program, those are 60% of median household income. That increase would be $4.33. And for customers who are Tier 2, that's 30% of MFI. That increase is $1.59. We move to the next slide. So this is a comparison of where this puts us and in comparison to peer and neighboring utilities. We wanted to put both on the screen so you can see that. You can see Portland is in the middle of the pack. Many of our peers have completed filtration but haven't addressed combined sewer overflows, which BES did with the big pipe project. So we do expect to stay in the middle as filtration is completed and then other cities address CSOs. We've also included utilities on this list who are near Portland, sort of in the metro area. Those are listed as neighboring, or N on the slide, whereas some who are more similar to us are listed as P for peer utilities. The most apples to apples comparison is between peer utilities, but we thought you might want to see where we rank just in the neighborhood. Next slide. So this is our combined rate projection. We've shown this presentation previously. If it looks familiar, it shows both the historical and projected rates of increase for water, which is that blue line on the top, BES, the bottom green line, and then the combined rate of increases, which is that black middle line. And both bureaus have substantial capital programs that rely on borrowing to spread costs over time. But just solely relying on debt to fund capital isn't sustainable, so we leverage the debt with cash expenditures for capital investments, and then we forecast capital and operating expenditures over the long-term horizon and use those projections to balance the cash with the borrowing. For water, about 1/3 of the rate increase is necessary to fund the federally mandated filtration plant and its associated pipelines, about 1/3 for ongoing investment into our water system infrastructure, and about 1/3 for general cost increases to labor and materials. And then for BES, the projected rates are not only for paying the current levels of service, but when those are combined with reductions made now and support from PSEF, it will put the Bureau on better financial footing to manage through anticipated large and somewhat unknown costs. And it's still uncertain whether this is the rate profile that will be sufficient to completely support what's on the horizon. But we do think that addressing this with stable and predictable rates of increase now will ultimately result in lower increases into the future. To the next slide. So as promised, here's a little bit more of a detailed look at the system development charges. I would say the biggest takeaway here, if you only remember one thing, is that for BES and water, SDCs are collected on a reimbursement basis rather than proactively. So we collect SDCs to pay for infrastructure that we've already built in to accommodate the growth. And our SDCs increase as the value of our system increases, and that's due to continued investment in maintaining our systems and system replacement costs, which have considerably increased due to increases in construction and cost of materials and labor and obviously the investment in building for water, the filtration plant, and BES also investing in their infrastructure. So you can see in 2023-24, council held SDC rates at their current level, and the proposal would be to increase SDCs just by 5% for fiscal year 24-25. You can see the light blue line for water and the yellow line for BES are the SDC rates being charged. The orange line for both BES and water are the SDC rates that we would be charging if we were getting full reimbursement to the system. And so you can see the divergence on both of those two lines. It does mean that we are falling further behind on where the SDC would be for full reimbursement. And so any SDCs that are not charged at the calculated rates means that ratepayers are paying those development costs, what developers would be paying if we charge the full cost for the SDCs. And that's really a policy choice for this council. We just wanted to be able to show you visually what that looks like. We can move to the next slide. I think I'm turning it over to Don to close us out.
Yeah, so this is our last slide, and we'd like to conclude with the fact that both bureaus face both current and long-term financial pressure. Some are understood and we can quantify, some are yet to be determined, but I'd just like to highlight, of course, we've spoke all through the fall and into this through this budget period that we're experiencing inflation and recessionary economic impacts. We have a backlog of both infrastructure investments and just general CIP investments. We have large risk profiles that we're managing. We're having to, especially for BES, we have to plan for unplanned expenditures of asset failures. In other words, when something fails that we haven't planned to upgrade, we'll have to pay for it when it happens. So we have to be ready for that. We also know that the operations and maintenance of an aging system comes with many challenges and pressures on our budget. We anticipate stronger and more restrictive permit and regulatory issues that face both bureaus. We've spoken in the past about the unknowns related to environmental remediation. Then we, of course, have also city transition costs, general fund and overhead costs related to our interagencies, and then, as Gabe just noted, a ratepayer impact of SDC charges. So this is an overview of some of the pressures that we do face, but we are confident that the current rate profile and the rate increase that we're asking for today will put us on stable ground and will allow us to navigate the pressures that we face. So with that, we'll end our presentation and open it up for discussion and questions.
Great. Thank you so much, directors. Great presentation. Colleagues, we do have, I think, one person here from the pub who represents invited testimony, and then we have 1 to 2 people signed up for public testimony. Any questions now, or should we go to invited testimony? All right, why don't we go to invited testimony? I believe the invited testimony that we have today comes to us from the Public Utility Board. This is a group of volunteer citizens who overlook the utilities portfolio. Representing the pub today, we have Bob Salinger, who will share some feedback from the pub. Welcome, Bob. Thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate your persistence and patience.
Good afternoon, members of Portland City Council. My name is Bob Salinger, and I am here representing the Portland Utility Board. I've been on the Utility Board for about 2 years. I also served on a variety of budget committees prior to the creation of the Utility Board, actually dating back to the Potter administration. I think I was on 10 BES budget committees prior to the creation of the pub. I think I actually hold the record for most budget committees. I'm being punished for something in a prior life. But they are important, and I think it's really important to reflect on why the pub was created in 2015, largely because of concern about the spending of the two bureaus. And that came from both the left and from the right. It resulted in a lawsuit. It also resulted in a ballot measure to create a separate utility district from the city. And the pub was created to give a much deeper level of community oversight over particularly the budget processes. And if you go back to the purpose statement, it really does focus on that financial aspect. To have people on there who would be on there year-round, who would be there for multiple years, that could really take a deep dive. And I would say that those budget committees prior to the creation of the pub were also very good. We met for usually 6 months, multiple times, and really dug into those budgets. So this was supposed to take it to another level. Ironically, I think we've gone the other direction. Today, the oversight is much, much more superficial than it was prior to the creation of the pub. In fact, it's night and day. It's just orders of magnitude more superficial. And so I'm not here today to criticize anyone. I'm certainly not here to call out staff. I think they've had a very challenging situation. I think there's a lot of different reasons why we are in the situation we're in. But the result is that we are simply not getting the kind of information we need to provide the oversight that we are charged with providing. And so we are not going to make a recommendation today on the rates. And that manifests itself in a lot of different ways. It can be lack of lead time. We had almost none this year. It can be lack of meetings devoted to the budget. We had one, and it was yesterday. It can be confusing budgets that don't have enough information. And I passed out a sheet. If you just take a quick look at it, this is one page from the budget. And what you'll see here is that most of the environmental programs don't have budgets for this year or last year because they were all reorganized. And those programs were shifted around, their names were changed, they were put in different places. I've been tracking budgets for a long time. I have no way of reading this budget and knowing what the trends are for those programs. There is simply no way for me to penetrate that information and understand what is happening. Are those programs going up? Are they going down? Are they gone away? There was no way for me to tell. This budget doesn't have budget narratives in it. You just get line items, basically. And so there's no explanation. There's just a variety of different reasons why we simply are in a position where we don't have the information to really make a recommendation and understand the implications of this rate. What does it mean for the debt? What does it mean for long-term rates? What does it mean for all the issues that were put up on the screen? What does it mean for the environment? What does it mean for compliance? What does it mean for equity? What does it mean for emergency situations? We don't have that information. We are definitely worried. We're worried that we're kicking the can down the road, that we're going to pay the price later and perhaps sooner, that we're going to encumber future generations, that we're going to wind up in a situation like Parks that has no way right now of digging itself out of the hole that it got into. I was on their budget committees as well as we dug the hole. So we are very, very concerned. One thing I want to be clear on is we are not making any sort of recommendation to lower the rates. We believe that we're already at risk and lowering them would not be appropriate from what is recommended. We're concerned about things like dependency on PSEF. That is not a panacea for our budget problems. And as we start to shift programs to PSEF, one, that's very controversial, as you well know, and two, it may not be sustainable. And once you do that, what happens to those programs when the PSEF funds go away? We're concerned that in this budget, we learned really yesterday, very recently, that there's a decision package. That decision package cuts the budgets for watersheds, natural systems, restoration, and biological sciences, stormwater management, blue-green infrastructure, vegetation, trees on private property, and so on. Those are your cornerstone natural resource programs. They're being transferred to PSEF if you get those PSEF funds. And one of the things that was really surprising that we learned was that these programs apparently are now a lower priority for BES and that they're ancillary, that's a quote, ancillary to the core mission. I've been tracking BES since 1992. That's the first time I've heard this. The environmental programs are now ancillary and secondary. How was that decision made? Who was involved in making that decision? That's the kind of stuff that we're struggling with basically 12, 15 hours notice. And that's not an acceptable situation. I'm going to finish up by just saying I think there's three things that we really need to think about going forward. There's a lot of reasons we got to this position, but if we're serious about having community oversight at a time when government is at a lowest level of distrust we've ever seen, I think it is important. I think it can play a key role in creating community confidence. I know I'm out there all the time talking about this stuff, and what I say influences how people perceive why we're making these decisions. And if we can't speak with confidence, that undermines us all. So three things. One, the pub is not being provided with the kind of resources it needs to have the oversight that it's supposed to have. Number two, this is not a temporary situation. We can't just blame it on the transition. That's too easy. For years, it was blamed on COVID. Next year, it will be the new government. The year after that, it will be the new government. There is always an excuse. And so the third point is, if we do want the pub to have a meaningful role and have a real impact, it has to really be built in. Even in the current chaos, we need to decide that we want to have an oversight board of community members that is given the time, the resources, the advance notice, the staffing, and the staffing is very good for the pub, by the way. But in terms of Bureau staff coming in and talking with us and really informing us about what's going on to do its job. Otherwise, there's no reason to have it at all. It's simply a waste of time. We'll probably provide more substantive comments on the budget itself. We'll have a little more time to work those out. But for today, it's really no recommendation other than certainly please don't go down.
Thank you, Bob. I very much appreciate your feedback. I hear your frustration. I'm the commissioner in charge of this space, so I take responsibility for not having you be happier being here today. And I got, before the end of this year, certainly one of the things I want to accomplish is to get the pub back on track. I'll tell you from my experience, the pub, I think for many years, the pub has been struggling to figure out who it is and what it is. Are they looking substantively at specific issues like water quality, or is it budget? I'll tell you, as the commissioner in charge of infrastructure, the budgetary challenges that we face here are so significant. Moving forward, I really hope that we would hone in on that problem. If I am privileged enough to stick around for a couple more years, I think that's what I'm going to try to focus in on. I know that you're right in that there probably this budget in particular is hard, might be hard to decipher, partly because there's a lot of changes happening within the bureaus, partly the budget dynamics and timelines are different and frankly front-loaded. And I've been dialoguing with the mayor's office. Last year, we kind of got surprised because some changes were introduced to our rates at the very last minute. This year, we tried to get in front of that by kind of front-loading the discussion. One of the challenge with front-loading the discussion is there probably wasn't enough outreach to the pub. In addition to that, frankly, our friends at the budget office faces a ton of challenges as they go about literally reimagining how we budgeting and service sectors and whatnot. So I think that they're having to choose some efficiencies. Those are reasons, but those aren't excuses. We need to do better in this space, and I own that. Substantively, I think you and I come to the same conclusion in terms of the bottom line with these bureaus. We have a couple of options here. We could lower rates, and as the commissioner in charge here, I tell you, that's going to cause real problems. We could keep the rates that we propose in this budget, and frankly, that's allows us to stay on track and frankly not do that much harm to our systems, or we could increase rates, which would allow us to do a bunch of important new things here. Reading the room, I don't get the impression there's a lot of appetite for raising our rates beyond what we had projected. So I think even though the pub has no recommendation here, I think we kind of agree. Well, you probably would. I would guess. In fact, I know Bob. Well, I don't know Bob, but Bob, I suspect, might urge me to raise rates to go out and do more environmental protections, and that's in my heart too. I'll tell you one of the reasons why I've tried to have a conversation and a policy discussion about how we go about natural resource management is to kind of figure out optimal strategies for protecting our natural resources. I think that is a place that we need to go. And frankly, the pub is going to be a crucial player in getting this right. What I'd like to do now is maybe I'll ask my directors if they have anything they want to add here. And if you don't, that's fine too.
Yeah, I do. Actually, I have two things. One is we absolutely can and must do better in our communications with pub, and I'm prepared to do that. I think we need to get a clear schedule, and we need to get clear roles and responsibilities. We had a very abbreviated budget process, even internally, and there were even some challenges internally around communications. So I can only imagine what it feels like to be on an advisory board, but I'm absolutely committed with Commissioner Mapps's leadership and direction to work with PUB to improve that. I feel frustration in that space too. So I would like to really make a genuine a commitment to improving that. The other thing that I want to comment on is that although we have been able to the PSEF funds have been a great benefit to the BES budget. I want to be really clear that it is never our intention to stop that work or to have it be ancillary. My intention is that we put it in a space that the city can invest and grow and make it get larger. So with the natural resources work plan that we're working collaboratively with parks and our community members, we want to take the investments in the history that BES has started and grow it. So there's absolutely no intention to scale that work back. It's to take BES's investment and to grow it in a broader city space. And we know that the PSEF dollars are not permanent. We are not banking on that. That is not a long-term solution. The way that the language I've used is that it's a bridge that allows us to buy some time so that we can do the work with community to grow those programs. We do face, Bob, as you know, our challenges with our treatment plants and our pump stations, significant risk and failures with that work. So it's awful to have to put the green versus the gray and to have that discussion. We know that the green is the long-term solution, but we face some real challenges in the short term around our gray. So my direction to the Bureau and with the support of our community is to stabilize the responsibilities we have with our treatment plants and pump stations and to create a space that we can grow the natural area and green infrastructure work. But I'll loop back to the idea and commitment to work better with the pub and have our budget process be more transparent and have meaningful engagement.
Gabe, do you got anything? And it's okay if you don't. I mean, Dawn was incredibly eloquent, and I know she speaks for all of
I
us.
was going to say the same thing, ditto.
Great. Well, I see Commissioner Gonzalez's hands up. I also want to remind our colleagues that we do have a little bit of public testimony. Before I call on Commissioner Gonzalez, I do want to say this. Bob, if I'm going to make a request of you, and I'm going to make a request of the pub. Specifically, if the pub can send me a letter developing recommendations on how we can improve our process around budgeting, that would be great. And I know if the pub wants to send me a letter, and if you have some differences between what the pub says and what you believe, I would accept 2 letters. Be great if you copy my directors here. I also asked the budget director, Tim, to be in the room today, partly so that you and Tim could begin to develop a relationship. When you send those letters to my directors and me, if you copy Tim on it, I think that would be a wise practice too. And if you are open to writing a couple of letters, one of the other things that you could do today is to, I'd love to get a letter from the pub. Moving forward, I want to get the pub focused specifically on the budget. Also, I want to create a think tank around the natural resource discussion, which actually my 2 directors are at too. If the pub has thoughts on what are short, medium, and long-term steps towards improved natural resource management, it'd be great if you could copy my directors, me, and frankly, the rest of council on that too. I think that would be a great discussion to have before we get to the end of the year. And I've chatted too much, and Commissioner Gonzalez, you've taken your hand down, but you want to jump in here?
I guess I just want to build off your last point there. What would be very helpful is a timeline that makes sense both from the budget perspective and for pub. That's it. And there have been a lot of shifts in the budget process this year. It's been confusing for a lot of us, both on the inside and outside. That's just putting together service areas. But I still would kind of like to see a layout of what we think's doable from our internal budgeting process, from the Bureau's perspective, and from pub's perspective. I will also observe that I had some disappointment with pub's feedback the last time we had meaningful conversations about rates. I think they implied the mayor's proposal at the time was racist because I can't remember if the rates were too high or too low. And it's to have meaningful engagement with that board, and it's going to require folks not resorting to histrionics, resorting to the real issues, confronting these bureaus. And so those are mostly 2 observations, and I'll leave it at that.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, we have, I think, 1 person signed up to testify on both of these items. Any more questions for staff before we go to public testimony?
I like hearing testimony.
Okay, great. Why don't we go to public testimony?
Robert Butler.
What's longer, sir?
Welcome, Robert. I have a procedural question today. You're signed up twice right now for both 211 and 212. I'm trying to figure out how much time to give you. 6 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes? Are you going to testify on both items? Or we could strike a deal here, and how about I give you 4 minutes, 2 minutes on each item?
Yeah, it's 3 minutes on each item.
All right. If you're going to testify on both items, I'll give you 6 minutes. 3 minutes on each.
Oh, do you want me to combine them in one 6-minute session? Are we doing at same time? I can't do that.
Okay, well, let's do it sequentially. Why don't we do with the...
I'm right-headed.
The floor is your
Okay, well,
Robert, I'm going to give you the floor for 6 minutes.
I'm sorry, that will... That's much better.
Okay.
So, I think we're in deep trouble. And I left out the word that I'm glad I did, but we are in deep trouble. Now, that's just me. I'm sorry. But I came here prepared with that conclusion, and you know now what is really bothering me about our decision-making, really bothering me, besides stealing from the climate budget. This is worse. So when I look at this, our projections of revenues so flat is very imaginative. I don't see it at all. As far as the fee structure, for example, the SDC charges are killing our economy. It's just ruining us for the private side. It can't do this. I mean, it can. We can be like San Francisco and just put ourselves out of business. It's really hard to keep pushing that. But I want to get back to one more thing real quick. I really don't understand in stormwater treatment why we put in these gutter gardens, where they're really expensive. Before, in many cases, before we just dump the water into the Multnomah Slough, the Columbia Slough. I don't know why we're treating water from the street, for example, before it goes into the slough. And the fact that these garden gutters do anything, I'd like to see the science that they really do anything. But my last point kind of in this subject is that I think histrionics, I think there is some value there. So the big pipe was before your time, really, the big pipe, about 12 years ago, $1 billion. Boy, was that a lot of money. And you know what? It's been killing us. That $1 billion has really been killing the value of our water resource and making it so unaffordable and so uncompetitive to work in the world market. That project was $1 billion, and it ended up $1.5 billion. Overran $500 million. Now we're looking at $2 billion. How much is that going to overrun? We're spending $151 million a year because we're in debt $1.4 billion on sewer. And we got 15 years to go. Believe me, things really got to change about the way we think we can spend money. That's just, I'm sorry.
Well, is that the end of your testimony, Robert?
Well, then I have to go to the next one.
Okay.
Oh, you want to be ready for that?
2.5 minutes. We're already into the next one. 2.5 minutes left.
Thank you. Well, on the clean water, on the water side, you know my concern about the next $2 billion for sand filtration.
Yeah.
I don't see it in the budget here. I mean, how are we going to spend, starting in June, for the next 12 months, how are we going to pay for that $1.5 billion, $2 billion thing? I mean, is it in the budget somewhere? I don't see it in the revenue side, I'll tell you that. I don't see it on the debt side from just some say 700 million now, which is still not for sure. But let's say it is. Yep. Still, we're $1 billion short. Where is it? Are we budgeting here? I don't understand it. So the last thing is just a small, well, in fact, I don't even want to get into that point. I'm just going to mention that the elephant in the room is the fact that our infrastructure is trash. Right now, it's not aging, it's done. And particularly, we don't even talk about, you talk about pumps and whatever, the distribution to the tap is trash, junk. And so, because it's aged. So it's not aging anymore, it's done. And so, there again, we need some reality. And then we have the reality that we're pricing ourselves out of the U.S. economy because things are so damn expensive in Portland. And you say they're not, and you show us charts that Seattle is more and whatever. We're pricing ourselves out, and we're losing the opportunity, for example, for private enterprise to use cheap water to make something because it's not cheap enough to make anything practically. And all our industrial laundry work, for example, it goes to Washington. We don't do industrial cleaning here in Portland because the water's too damn expensive. They moved out and we ship it. So, okay, I don't know. I do know. There's got to be some more reality. There's got to be better budgeting. And we need something bigger than PUB to help us. And PUB, even they can't help us right now, so I'm sorry. But we're not going to give up. We can proceed, but we got to change, and I don't see it.
Well, thank you, Robert. I tell you, over the years, you and I have had lots of conversations about transportation issues. I think today is the first day that we have really moved into issues around water and sewer. I'd love to connect you with some of my staff who work into this space. I'll be transparent. I think some of the claims that you made around water and sewer were frankly not accurate. But let's sit down and have these conversations. And if you still are not convinced, I am convinced that you will show up at communications and attempt to set the record straight. So I do encourage you to reach out to me and we can keep this conversation going. I see that we are now past 5 o'clock. So what I'd like to do is to see if, I believe that is the end of our formal presentation. That's the end of our invited testimony, and that's the end of our public testimony. I'd like to see if my colleagues have anything they'd like to ask or add to the conversation that we have had today. Commissioner Ryan.
Thank you, Commissioner Mapps. I know that we're all kind of trying to get out here, so I'll just cut to the chase. When I was looking at the presentation, I was trying to find, because we sit in these meetings and have procurement conversations about Bull Run, I was actually trying to figure out where that was in the slides and in the budget as well. So, can someone answer that question? I mean, that's the big lift. So we had the big pipe that was mentioned earlier. Now it's Bull Run.
We have
Cecilia to argue that it's our
here.
greatest and most important asset as we continue to move forward with life in Portland.
Yeah. Sure, we have a staff.
I just want to know how we can track it in our budget. Yeah.
Welcome. Please introduce yourself.
Also, how ratepayers can see it, because I thought it was really helpful during the big pipe that you could see it as a consumer, and I don't. Anyway, thanks for being here. You're going to answer the question.
Yeah, I'm Cecilia Hoon with the Water Bureau. So the Bull Run treatment project for the first year, Don mentioned in one of the slides that there is $750 million in our budget. Almost $500 million of that is planned for the Bull Run treatment project for next fiscal year, 24-25. And in the 5-year capital program, again, as Don mentioned, $2.9 million in total between water and BES. Water portion of $1.9 billion includes the full project budgeted.
So what I'm trying to understand, my utility bill, is it under the water system part? Is that where it is? A beautiful slide that you
Yes, it would be within the water volumetric rate.
Okay.
Under capital projects?
So in addition to usage, it's all of these things, when Bull Run is probably the biggest one.
So as the budget, as I described it,
I went back
is
to
what
the
we have.
utility bill. That was
And yeah, so the revenue that we'll be collecting in the forecast that we have over the next 5 years, as Gabe has shown, is to support paying for the debt related to funding the project. So we'll be issuing water revenue bonds to pay for the debt. We're also having the WIFIA loan to help fund the project. That will also be paid for starting in fiscal year 2032-33.
Okay, I'm going to ask for a meeting between now and the next reading so I can understand this better.
Sure.
It could be that we've been sitting in these chairs all day, but I'm not following that very well. Thanks, though. I know you tried. I appreciate it.
Commissioner Ryan, I appreciate the question. We'll be sure to get you a briefing before this item comes back. Commissioner Gonzalez, you got any feedback, reflections you want to get on the table before we break for the day?
I think I'm good. Thank you.
Commissioner Rubio, any thoughts, reflections?
No, just probably a meeting would be good, just for the same reason.
Okay, I'm going to ask staff to reach out to my colleagues, and let's offer one to Commissioner Gonzalez, too, in case he wants to dive into a deeper discussion. I believe that ends the formal part of our presentation today. Colleagues, I'm going to make sure, I'm looking at the clerk to make sure I get this language right. Let's pass ordinances and items 211 and 212 together for a second reading at some point in the future. Is that good enough? All right, we'll take that. Any other business? All right, colleagues, I want to thank my teams over in the infrastructure bureaus. You guys did great. I want to thank, I really appreciate the pub. Thank you for being here. Robert, you stuck with us all day long. I do, even though you raised some sharp points today, we're listening to you, and we appreciate you being here today. We are adjourned.